Chronicles of the Stellar Mecha War. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 226 Betting. During the time when the Mecha was upgraded, Lin Fan successfully defeated Lee Chun-Hua and was just short of a head-to-head battle with Song Ren. After many people who followed Lin Fan learned the news, they secretly made bets, guessing whether Lin Fan could defeat Song Ren. Some even went so far as to directly bet on how long it would take Lin Fan to defeat Song Ren. Some people bet on a week, half a month, and a month. I bet on half a month. Lee Chun-Hua was bold and didn't care about being defeated by Lin Fan. She even shared her bet excitedly. You bet on 800 miles? Lin Fan also gained a lot of knowledge. You are really bold. It doesn't count. We didn't bet on money. Lee Chun-Hua waved his hand. Didn't you bet? I bet on a week. Gu explained to Lin Fan. Many people in the security department bet on it. It doesn't matter if it doesn't involve money. Then what did you bet on? Lin Fan was curious. It's a score in the ability assessment, which is equivalent to testing one's vision. Gao Fei was also shocked at first, but after understanding it, he thought it was pretty good. There are 5 basic points, which are added if you win, and subtracted if you lose, and are counted in the year-end performance. There is such a performance? Lin Fan is not a 800 person, so she doesn't know about this. But since no one violated the rules, she didn't worry too much. Asked Gao Fei, did you bet? Yes. I feel that a week is a bit short, and half a month is a bit long. I think 10 days should be about the same. But there is no such option, so I bet for a week. Gao Fei curled her lips. Sister, you must work hard and strive to win in a week. As she was talking, Song Ren appeared. Lee Chun-Hua and Gao Fei became obedient in an instant, looking around as if nothing had happened. Hey, Song Ren, I heard that many people bet on us to see how long it will take me to beat you. Lin Fan chuckled and asked, did you know that? I know. Song Ren's indifferent answer surprised Lee Chun-Hua and the others. It's normal for Captain Song to know. After all, this matter has been spread to almost everyone. Even Lin Fan, who doesn't care about things, knows about it. I guess even the cleaning lady may be involved. Gu had an expression that he had expected it. I heard that they're betting on your performance. Have you bet? Lin Fan felt that Gu's words made sense and continued to ask Song Ren. Lee Chun-Hua and Gao Fei didn't dare to show interest. They turned their backs to Song Ren. Their hands were touching everywhere, but their ears were erected. I bet for a month. Song Ren didn't have anything to be embarrassed about, and he spoke directly. I've seen that the most people bet for half a month. It seems that everyone has high hopes for you. Well, I have to work hard. Haha, I didn't expect that you would play like this. Lin Fan laughed. I always thought that 800 was a serious scientific research institution. Maybe it's just that it's too serious on weekdays, and it's rare to meet a fun thing, so everyone can't stand it. Gu's analysis does make some sense. Many people told me before that they wanted me to knock you down as soon as possible. I was thinking at the time, aren't you usually popular? Why do you look like you've offended a lot of people and everyone wants me to knock you down? Lin Fan asked in confusion. Not really. The boss is popular, but actually many people want to knock him down. Lee Chun-Hua turned around instantly when he heard what he wanted to hear. But he has always been too strong, like Optimus Prime, and we can't knock him down. He looked at Song Ren and saw no reaction and continued. Well, Lin Fan, don't you have hope? We just want to. Heh. The people in the reserve team had a simple idea. Anyway, Lin Fan was one of them. If they couldn't knock Song Ren down, it would be the same if Lin Fan could knock him down. Especially those who saw the two fighting in the cafeteria that day, they had high hopes for Lin Fan. After that, as the matter fermented, almost half of the 800 employees participated in this activity. Those who knew Lin Fan and Song Ren placed bets according to their own ideas. There were also many people who didn't know them, so they just wanted to join in the fun and placed bets casually. Suddenly, this bet became like the most popular game at the end of 800. Everyone wanted to participate and have fun. As Lin Fan's ability became stronger and stronger, Song Ren gradually stopped holding back and practiced with Lin Fan at his true level. While Lin Fan was sighing at Song Ren's hidden talent, Song Ren was also shocked by Lin Fan's progress. Although there were unnatural factors involved, who would have thought that this person was still panting when he first met him? Only a year and a half had passed. A week passed, and Lin Fan still couldn't beat Song Ren. Everyone was disappointed and began to look forward to the half-month period. Lin Fan lived up to everyone's expectations and fought more and more fiercely, gradually fighting Song Ren to a draw. Just when everyone's expectations reached the highest point, Song Ren was called to Cui Yan's office. What? Lin Fan is leaving? Song Ren shouted without being able to control his emotions for a while. Cui Yan ignored his gaffe and continued coldly. Didn't you apply for someone to teach her how to use cold weapons? Song Ren nodded blankly. Xingqian's weapons were confirmed, and after discussion, everyone decided to add weapons training to Lin Fan. Song Ren naturally took over this task, but after in-depth research, he found that it was difficult for him to be a cold weapon teacher. Song Ren's ability lies in high-intensity quality training, mechanical control, and the use of hot weapons, which are relatively high-tech fields. He has no problem with fighting skills, and he can also use simple sticks, swords, and guns. But if he follows the orthodox weapon training, whether it is a long spear, a two-handed axe, or even a short dagger, it is not his best area. After Song Ren pondered, with the idea of not delaying Lin Fan, he explained the situation to Cui Yan and applied for a special martial arts teacher to teach Lin Fan. More than half a month passed in a flash, and Song Ren thought that Cui Yan called him over this time to talk about the martial arts teacher. Who knew that he actually said that Lin Fan was leaving? Although there is no banquet that will not end, Song Ren has always known that Lin Fan does not belong to 800, but the news came so suddenly that he was not prepared at all, and he was upset for a while. Who can be better than those guys in the special affairs office and the use of cold weapons? Cui Yan leaned back in the boss chair, his fingertips facing each other, and said leisurely, I thought you should have thought of it earlier. Song Ren had never thought about it. I have contacted ZHU Kunjin. He has people ready, but it is impossible to send people here to teach. So, the final conclusion is to let Lin Fan go back to learn by herself. Cui Yan did not try to argue, but this time ZHU Kunjin had a reason and he could not argue at all. For Lin Fan and Xingqian, sending people back is inevitable. After all, Lin Fan is from the Special Affairs Office. She came to 800 after staying in the Special Affairs Office for 10 days and stayed here for a year and a half. In theory, 800 has taken a big advantage. Cui Yan made excuses and delayed again and again until the bionic armor improvement plan was completed and construction began. Song Ren had nothing to teach here, and he had already tied with Lin Fan. It doesn't make much sense for Xingqian to keep Lin Fan in 800. It's better to let her go back and learn weapons earlier. The right thing to do is to put Xingqian's weapons to good use. Therefore, Cui Yan has delayed as much as possible by telling Song Ren now. Lin Fan must go. Who said that Lin Fan should go back to the Special Affairs Office? Well, I've waited for it, haha. Chapter 227 Agreement. When Lin Fan was told by Jin Sichen that he was leaving 800, he was stunned for a long time. Can't bear to leave. Jin Sichen understood at a glance. Lin Fan glanced at him and slowly lowered his head. This matter was too sudden. Li Chunhua's chattering voice was still in his ears. Gao Fei's sister seemed to have not yet faded. Ji Yu's faint smile seemed to be right in front of him. Song Ren. She was just able to tie with him, and the winner was not yet determined. Lin Fan shook his head slowly. After all, this day will come. Jin Sichen also sighed quietly. ZHU Kunjin had already informed him, but Cui Yan had not made a decision, so he was not sure about the time, so he did not dare to tell Lin Fan. Now it seems that it was still too sudden. He thought of Lin Fan's reluctance to leave John Woo before. Although the people in 800 may not be as important as John Woo in Lin Fan's heart, but after all, there are many people, and they have been together for a long time, so the mood may not be much better. Jin Sichen subconsciously looked at Lin Fan's hand. The thin black bracelet was hanging on the white wrist. Fortunately, Wu Yusen sent this thing before. On the other side, Lee Chun-hua and the other two who learned about the matter from Song Ren were also stunned. Why is it so sudden? Gao Fei frowned. Everything was just getting better and better. In the afternoon, they were still discussing whether Lin Fan would defeat Song Ren tomorrow, and in the evening, they said that Lin Fan was leaving. At present, the data collection of Xingqian has been completed. All the technical means that can be used have been used, and nothing can be measured further. Lin Fan continues to stay. To be honest, it really doesn't make much sense for her. Gu thought more thoroughly. In fact, before the green turtle attacked, it didn't matter whether Lin Fan stayed in 800 or not. At that time, her mental state had basically returned to normal, and Xingqian's condition was relatively stable. It can be said that there was no need for 800's help. On the contrary, 800, in addition to providing Lin Fan with a relatively ample environment to recover her body, basically did not have any effective help for Xingqian. Whether it was the improvement of Lin Fan's own physical fitness or the increase of Xingqian's standby time, they were all the result of Lin Fan's own efforts. Even Song Ren's training of her was done for the sake of training the quality of the bionic armor pilots. Moreover, later, Lin Fan dragged several of them to practice in the bionic armor all over the world. At that time, Xingqian's help to them exceeded 800's help to Lin Fan himself. Later, Lin Fan met Green Turtle. If she was in the special office at that time, there would be no chance of injury. In order to cover the evacuation of others, she rushed forward, even though she knew she could not defeat the enemy. Lin Fan was obviously not such a brave character, but she was just protecting them. Including the end, she was also thinking about Gao Fei, so she held on and killed Green Turtle. Needless to say, the pain that followed was that the people in the medical department were careless and almost sent Lin Fan away. Later, Xingqian was upgraded, and 623 got inspiration from it and upgraded the bionic armor again. However, due to the limitation of technical ability, no useful results can be obtained from the research on Xingqian itself. And Song Ren, the only one who can suppress Lin Fan by force, finally tied with her today. To be honest, it really doesn't make much sense for Lin Fan to continue staying in 800 and going back and receiving systematic cold weapon training so that Xingqian can use the weapons as soon as possible as the top priority. But reason is reason, emotion is emotion. Gu analyzed it very well, but in the end he sighed and leaned on the sofa and didn't want to talk. Lee Chun-hua, who usually talks the most, didn't say a word and was visibly sad. What to say? Everyone knows that it is the best choice for Lin Fan to leave. If it is really for her good, she should not be hindered from moving forward. Song Ren patted Lee Chun-hua's shoulder and comforted her silently. When will she leave? Lee Chun-hua asked hesitantly. The sooner the better. Song Ren walked to the sink to pour water, with his back to everyone. It depends on Lin Fan and Jin Sichen. Lee Chun-hua opened her mouth, but didn't think of what to say, then heard Ji say next to her. For this kind of thing, it's better to suffer a short pain than a long one. From what I know about Sister Lin, she will choose to leave as soon as possible. Since it can't be avoided, it's more uncomfortable to drag it on. Besides, although it's a separation, it's not a separation of life and death. There is definitely reluctance, but it's not to that extent. After all, with Xingqian's speed, if Lin Fan wants to come back, it's really a matter of minutes. Oh, this is a fuss. Gao Fei also felt depressed. 2 days ago we said that we could go to the Special Affairs Office together for a visit during the Chinese New Year this year. Now it's the end of the year, and the Chinese New Year next year is at the end of January. According to last year's practice, several people have begun to look forward to taking a New Year's holiday like last year. This time Jin Sichen will not have any missions. Even if there are, Lin Fan has contacted Wu Yusen. He has been at the Special Affairs Office recently and has not been on field duty, ensuring that everyone can visit the Special Affairs Office. If Lin Fan leaves, his annual leave will be ruined. The trip to the Special Affairs Office will definitely not be possible. The most important thing is that their team will be one less person in the future. No one spoke, and everyone felt empty in their hearts. A night of silence. When Lin Fan woke up the next day, he saw that the haggard expressions of several people knew that everyone knew. Just right. She pretended to be fine and said with a smile, "I was still thinking about how to ask, and now it's easier." Lee Chun-ho immediately smiled, which was uglier than crying. Lin Fan laughed twice and took the initiative to step forward and hold Lee Chun-ho's shoulder. Let's go have breakfast." In the cafeteria, everyone took all the food they could get and filled the long table with a tray in each hand. Anyway, Lin Fan could eat it all, so everyone didn't have to worry about waste. No one spoke, and Lin Fan stuffed food into his mouth silently. "When are we leaving?" Finally, Song Ren spoke. Lin Fan chewed the bun in his mouth slowly, and after swallowing it, he replied, "Maybe today, maybe tomorrow. I can't decide. Let Jin Sichin decide." There was another silence. Then Lee Chun-ho hesitated. "Will you come back?" After asking, he wanted to slap himself. What was he asking? Probably. Lin Fan smiled and looked at the few people, suppressing the bitterness in his heart, pretending to be relaxed. "If they don't send me, I will come to see you, as long as I have a chance after I rest. After all, there is still a game between Song Ren and me." Lee Chun-ho laughed, tears sparkling in her eyes. "It will be too late by then. My points will definitely expire. Mine expired a long time ago." Ji-yu said helplessly, "I bet on a week." "Me too." Gao Fei felt suppressed and relieved. He pulled the corner of his mouth slightly, not wanting to disappoint Lin Fan's efforts. "My points are gone too." In this way, the boss actually has a chance to win. Lee Chun-ho tried to make himself happy. "You can't win. Unless Lin Fan comes again before the expiration date." Ji-yu directly broke Lee Chun-ho's fantasy. Lin Fan will definitely not come back within half a month after leaving. Lin Fan smiled and watched the few people seem to have returned to the previous liveliness, and she felt much better. She looked at Song Ren, who was also looking at her. "I'll wait for you." Lin Fan heard him make an agreement with her with a smile. "Fight with me again." "Parting, it's so painful. I don't like parting. What about you?" Chapter 228 Cui Yan's explanation. Since they were leaving, they would not follow Song Ren and the others to continue today's training. Lin Fan took too much food, so her breakfast time was much longer than usual. Song Ren rarely urged them, and everyone quietly accompanied Lin Fan, wanting to enjoy the last time together. Unfortunately, they were interrupted by an unexpected ringing. After Song Ren answered the phone, he said to Lin Fan, who was still eating, "Director Cui asked us to go over." Ah. Lin Fan was stunned. Her only contact with Cui Yan was one meeting the night before the firefighting. What did Cui Yan want to do with her at this time? Lin Fan didn't have the mood to eat properly, so she asked Lee Chun-ho and the others to help pack the remaining food and take it back. She got up and left with Song Ren. The office building, as a place Lin Fan often went in and out, she was already very familiar with it. But she had never been to the 7th floor. With a little curiosity and a little trepidation, Lin Fan followed Song Ren into Cui Yan's office. "Chief Cui, Lin Fan is here." Song Ren stood in front of Lin Fan, forming a vague protective posture. Cui Yan actually just asked Song Ren to inform Lin Fan, and did not let him come in. He looked at Song Ren coldly, said nothing, and turned his eyes to the person behind him. "Lin Fan." Cui Yan's voice was very crisp, which reminded people of the sound of jade knocking. It was not bad, but there was almost no emotional ups and downs. "Chief Cui." Lin Fan, who was caught, had to take a few steps forward and stand side by side with Song Ren. "How do you feel about the days in 800? Unexpectedly, Cui Yan asked this. Lin Fan glanced at Song Ren in confusion and saw that he stood upright on the side without giving her any hints, so she had to answer by herself. "It's pretty good. The environment is good. The colleagues are also very good, and everyone is very polite to me." At the end, he added, "Thank you for your concern, Chief Cui. Although Cui Yan has a bad reputation and is cold and icy, it is hard to like him. But to be honest, Cui Yan has never done anything to infringe on Lin Fan so far. On the contrary, Cui Yan played an indispensable role in Lin Fan's ability to live such a carefree life in 800. So although Lin Fan didn't like Cui Yan that much in his heart, he didn't hate him that much either. It was just that, based on the rumor that he sliced people, he was somewhat afraid of him in his heart. Yeah. Cui Yan still had no expression on his face, but he seemed to be in a good mood. Although you are not a member of 800 yet, I hope you can remember that 800 is also your solid backing. You are still the soul of 623 and an important member of the Mecha team. No matter when, as long as you want, you can come back at any time. Lin Fan opened his mouth and heard Cui Yan say again. 623 will continue to work hard on the development of bionic armor. I hope you can feel their progress when you come back next time. Your dormitory will also be reserved for you, waiting for your return. If you have time and opportunity, come back more often. With Cui Yan's personality, it is hard to imagine that he can still say such a paragraph. So even if he said it without any emotion, Lin Fan still felt his sincerity. Okay, I know, I will. Lin Fan looked at Cui Yan like this and felt an indescribable strangeness in her heart. This was not the Cui Yan she remembered. Everyone said that he was not a good person, but at this moment, Lin Fan had a different impression of him. I have approved your transfer notice. The logistics department will send a car to take you away at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. Cui Yan turned his head and looked at Song Ren again. Today, Song Ren, you don't have to train. Just take a day off and help Lin Fan pack up. Yes. Song Ren responded loudly. Also, your badges and Dr. Jin's badges are special, so you don't have to return them to the security department. Cui Yan continued, just leave them for you as a souvenir. I will ask the security department to make a visitor badge for Lin Fan. I will give it to you when you come back next time. Lin Fan is a visitor by identity. She had been disguised with the red badge of the reserve team before, but now many people know Lin Fan's identity. Once she leaves, her belonging problem will inevitably be revealed, and she will naturally be reissued a visitor badge according to regulations. No need for it. Lin Fan looked at the red badge on his chest. Don't you already have this badge? No need to make another one for me. I'm used to this one. Lin Fan refused, because he was afraid of trouble. Since he wouldn't use it often in the future, why would he make another one? It would just take up space. On the other hand, he also thought of Jin Sichin's dazzling badge, and refused from the bottom of his heart. Unexpectedly, Cui Yan's mouth curled up slightly after hearing this. Okay, then I'll listen to you, and use the original badge. Lin Fan didn't want to change the badge, which proved that she had a certain sense of belonging to the Mecha team. This was exactly what Cui Yan wanted. If you can't snatch your people, you can get their minds to come over. He has already started to plan to add some permissions to Lin Fan's badge. Train well when you go back, and pay attention to your own safety. If you have any difficulties, you can also contact us. Do you have the contact information of Song Ren and others? If they can't solve it, you can find me. My contact information has been sent to your communicator. I'm online 24 hours a day. Lin Fan listened to Cui Yan's words and suddenly had a strange feeling. Thinking back to when she was about to come to 800, Zhu Kunjin seemed to have told her the same thing. She suppressed the weirdness in her heart and nodded repeatedly. After Cui Yan finished saying this, he asked them to leave. Lin Fan couldn't help scratching his head in the elevator and asked Song Ren, is your director such an enthusiastic person? He doesn't look like one. Of course not. Song Ren didn't know how to answer Lin Fan, so he could only sigh slightly and change the subject. Lee Chunhua and the others will cry again when they know you are leaving tomorrow. You have a lot of things now. Do you want us to help you pack them? No. They are all clothes and other odds and ends. You can't pack them up. Lin Fan shook his head. I should leave some things for me. After all, your director said that he would leave the dormitory for me. Maybe I will come back to live from time to time. Song Ren smiled and helped her open the door curtain of the electric car, and he also sat in the driver's seat and drove back. That's great. We will wait for you to come back to see us. That's for sure. Lin Fan agreed and asked again. Then after I leave, will you still live next door? Lin Fan was going to leave with Jin Sichin. 2 of the 3 houses were empty, so Song Ren and the others naturally had no reason to continue living there. Probably not. After you leave, you should move back to the dormitory. Song Ren and Lee Chunhua's dormitory was in the dormitory building of the reserve team. It was a single room, and the conditions were not much worse than the cabin. It was just that Gao Fei and Jiu's dormitory should be reallocated. But these were not a problem and could be easily solved. The two chatted all the way and soon returned to the cabin. Lee Chun-hua was waiting at the door. When she saw Lin Fan coming back, she smiled and took out the packed breakfast from her arms. "You are finally back. The breakfast is almost cold." Lin Fan was stunned and felt a little sad again. Once she left, it would be difficult to chat and laugh with them like now. Who would be as stupid as Lee Chun-hua to hide her breakfast in her arms to keep it warm? There was obviously a microwave in the room. Everyone hated Cui Yan. This guy's personality is not likable, but to be honest, he has never hurt Lin Fan. He is quite nice to her. Ha ha ha. Cui Yan bowed and left the stage. Chapter 229 Farewell. The order to leave came suddenly. Jin Sichin also spent the whole day handing over the work. Fortunately, his main job at 800 was to take care of Lin Fan's mental state, communicate, and learn with local psychologists, and do some psychological counseling for employees. But most of the people who really came to him for consultation were not serious problems, or girls with Simazeo's heart. So the handover of work was not difficult, and was completed quickly. However, it took a lot of time to organize the books and materials in his office. By the time he had sorted out his things, it was dark. He went to Lin Fan's room to look for someone, and saw that her luggage had been packed and neatly stacked in the corner of the living room. The dining table, the cooking table, and the coffee table were full of food, and there was also rare beer. Several people were talking lively, and Lee Chun-hua was even dancing. Obviously everyone prepared a farewell dinner. Although the conditions were average, the atmosphere was extremely warm. "Dr. Jin, come quickly." Lee Chun-hua greeted Jin Sichin excitedly when she saw him. Song Ren had already helped to pull the chair away, and Jin Sichin sat down without hesitation. He took the can of beer handed over by Jiu and opened it. "So lively?" Jin Sichin's face didn't look very good when he saw them in the morning. Now it seems that they have probably completed their self-adjustment. "Dr. Jin, I really can't bear to leave you." Lee Chun-hua screamed with an exaggerated expression. "You can't bear to leave me, but you can't bear to leave Lin Fan." Jin Sichin retorted with a smile. "Both. I can't bear to leave Lin Fan, and I can't bear to leave you." Lee Chun-hua shook his head and nodded. Although Jin Sichin has his own work, he doesn't spend as much time with them as Lin Fan. But after all, they live close to each other, and it is common for them to exercise and eat together in the morning and evening. Except for the New Year period, when Jin Sichin went on a mission, they saw each other almost every day. Therefore, Lee Chun-hua was not talking nonsense when she said she couldn't bear to leave Jin Sichin. "If you were a girl and said you couldn't bear to leave me, I would still smile happily. You are such a grown man, and you said you couldn't bear to leave me. What should I say? I can't bear to leave you either." Jin Sichin pretended to be distressed. Ha ha ha. Everyone laughed in unison. "This picture is too beautiful, I dare not look at it." Gao Fei couldn't help laughing. "So brotherly, you can just express your true feelings to Sister Lin directly." Dr. Jin thinks it's corny. Jiu also smiled with pursed lips. "Oh, my true heart." Lee Chun-hua covered her chest and deliberately made a joke. Lin Fan leaned back in the chair and watched them, and for a moment he really forgot about the sadness of parting. That night, they laughed and made noises, and didn't disperse until very late. In the middle of the night, Jiu woke up and found that Song Ren was not in bed. He looked everywhere and finally saw from the window that Song Ren was sitting on a bench in the flower garden. Jiu saw him sitting there motionless and didn't know how long it had been, and finally walked out. "Captain Song, why are you here?" Although Song Ren asked him, his expression was indifferent and did not change. Jiu sat down next to him and took a look at Lin Fan's dormitory. The living room was dark, and a dim light could be vaguely seen in the air vent on the top of the toilet. That was the bedroom light that was still on. Ever since Lin Fan started having nightmares, she got used to sleeping with the light on. Although she had gotten rid of the nightmares later, she had never changed this habit. "Are you worried about Sister Lin?" Jiu asked, looking at the plants in the flower bed, whose leaves had fallen off and only branches were left. "In another 2 months, when spring comes, these flowers and plants will sprout again, bloom, and return to their original appearance of flowers in clusters. Unfortunately, by then, Lin Fan should not be there." They are gone too. Gu sighed deeply. It's hard to explain. Song Ren's voice was very light. I was sent here to guard Lin Fan and protect her safety. Now, she doesn't need me to protect her anymore. I just want to guard her one last time. Some corner of Song Ren's heart always felt that Lin Fan's chance of coming back in the future was not great. He regarded tonight as the last chance to get along. Gu glanced at Song Ren. Captain Song, do you like Sister Lin? After waiting for a long time, Song Ren did not answer. Gu did not ask again. In the east, the sky gradually brightened. Song Ren stood up and stretched his hands and feet. Let's go. Lin Fan is about to wake up. Gu stomped his frozen feet gently and followed Song Ren back to the dormitory. The two of them relaxed for a while, changed clothes, and washed up. Sure enough, they saw Lin Fan was already outside. Morning. Lin Fan greeted Song Ren and Gu with a smile when he saw them coming out. Morning, Sister Lin. Gu glanced at Song Ren, and seeing that he did not intend to speak, he took the initiative to respond. I originally wanted not to get up to exercise today, but then I thought, it's the last day, so I should stick to it. Lin Fan said with a smile. You didn't expect that I would be such a diligent person. Yes, you have a beginning and an end. Jin Sichin also came out of the house. I also have a beginning and an end, and I have never been earlier than you. Boss, you got up without calling us. Lee Chunhua's voice rang out from the house. When he and Gao Fei got up, they saw that the upper bunk was empty and there were voices outside. He secretly complained to the two of them that they were disloyal and didn't even call him when they got up. Okay, isn't this waiting for us? Hurry up, Brother Lee. Gao Fei quickly got dressed, brushed his teeth, and comforted Lee Chunhua. Soon, everyone gathered in front of the flower garden again. This morning exercise was particularly long. They walked out of the dormitory, along the villa area, onto the main road, went to the reserve team's playground, past the training room, went to the cafeteria to buy breakfast, and finally returned to the lounge of the office building. Everyone acted like nothing had happened, deliberately avoiding parting and talking while eating. If we were to summarize Lin Fan's days, since he came to 800, the atmosphere of this breakfast was undoubtedly the most pleasant. It's just a pity. Happy times are always short. After finishing breakfast slowly, several people returned to the dormitory. Lin Fan and Jin Sichin tidied up a little, and then they received a notice that the logistics department's car had stopped at the intersection. Lin Fan's clothes, shoes, and bags, Jin Sichin's suitcase and books. There were many more things than when they came. Several people helped to carry the luggage to the car. Lin Fan handed his badge to Song Ren and reminded him, when you have time, remember to ventilate my room. I still have some clothes in the closet. Don't let my clothes get moldy when I come back next time. 800 in the mountains. The air is still relatively humid. If you don't pay attention, it will indeed get moldy. Got it? Song Ren looked at her and nodded. Don't worry, Lin Fan. I promise that no matter when you come back, this room will be the same as if you have never left. Lee Chunhua forced a smile with a twinkle in her eyes. Lin Fan was relieved at first, but after hearing what Lee Chunhua said, she became a little worried. She looked at Gu next to her, who was more delicate. I will remind Captain Song. Don't worry, Sister Lin. Gu smiled softly. Gao Fei held his mouth for a long time, but finally couldn't help it. Sister, take care of yourself. Yeah, I get it. Lin Fan's smile was a bit forced. Seeing that Lee Chunhua was about to speak, she quickly stopped him. Okay, you know, I'm most afraid of this. Don't send her off. It makes me sad. Jin Sichin sighed and pushed Lin Fan into the car. Don't send her off. She's just going back to the special affairs office, not to other places. She won't be wronged. We agreed not to send her off. Maybe I'll fly back to see you in 2 days. You know the speed of Xingqian. Lin Fan felt that tears were about to come out and quickly shrank back into the car, not looking at them. Okay, that's it. Let's contact by phone. We'll leave first. Jin Sichin said quickly and closed the car door directly. The four stood there, silently watching the car leave in front of them, gradually going farther and farther. I hate parting. Really? If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 230 Pick Up. Boss, let's see her off again. To the door. Lee Chun-hua begged with tears in her eyes. Captain Song, let's see her off. Seeing that Song Ren was unmoved, Ji-yu also advised, let's follow from a distance, so that Sister Lin won't see us. Gao Fei got on the tram without saying a word and drove the car to the three of them. Get in the car. Lee Chun-hua got on the car in a flash, and Ji-yu also got on, lifted the curtain, and waited for Song Ren. Captain Song? Song Ren hesitated for a moment, and got on the car as well. Gao Fei started quickly, to chase Lin Fan's car. Hey, they are not going to the door. Lee Chun-hua was sitting in the passenger seat, watching the car in front deviate from the planned route, and wondered, did the plan change? Ji-yu asked Song Ren, who knew more than them. Catch up and see. Song Ren frowned slightly. Not long after, they saw Lin Fan's car heading straight for a helicopter. The helicopter's propeller was spinning, creating a huge airflow. Helicopter? What's going on? The small tram was light, and Gao Fei didn't dare to stop forward. The logo above seems to be the Bayan Rescue Team. Ji-yu found the bright spot. What? Lee Chun-hua didn't hear clearly. What rescue team? Bayan Rescue Team. A professional public welfare rescue organization. There are more than 50,000 rescue volunteers, of which 10,000 members have professional rescue qualifications and can respond to various emergency rescues. Ji-yu said. I seem to have heard of it. I seem to see it often in the news. Gao Fei remembered it after Ji-yu's Popular Science. But why did the Bayan Rescue Team come here? Lee Chun-hua also remembered that she had heard of this organization. It seems to be to meet up with Lin Fan. While talking, the logistics vehicle had stopped. Jin Sichin got out of the car and smiled and asked Lin Fan to get out of the car. Lin Fan didn't understand what was going on, but still followed Jin Sichin's arrangement. As soon as she got out of the car, the huge wind blew her hair into a mess and flew straight to her face. Lin Fan had to lower her head and quickly fixed her hair with a rubber band. She didn't notice the helicopter door opening. When she fixed her hair and looked up again, she saw Wu Yusen squatting at the door of the helicopter, looking at her with a smile. Lin Fan, I'm here to pick you up. What kind of vital drama is this? Exclamation mark. Compared to the smiling John Woo and Jin Sichin, Lin Fan had a dull look on her face, and for a moment she even felt a little choked up. The handsome guy drove a helicopter to pick her up, but she didn't feel a bit excited, but full of complaints. She is still old after all. How is it? Are you very surprised? Very unexpected? Jin Sichin saw Lin Fan's confused face, and shouted with a smile. The noise of the helicopter propeller was too loud, and it was impossible to hear without shouting. Lin Fan came back to her senses. What's going on? Is the special office picking her up so grandly? Didn't they agree to take a car? She turned her head and looked at Jin Sichin. Jin Si smiled and pushed her. I just received a notice that there is an urgent task for you to help. You can go directly with John Woo. I'll go back with the luggage. Lin Fan was caught off guard and staggered twice and was grabbed by John Woo's arm. Jin Sichin took her small luggage bag out of the car. Fortunately, you packed your carry-on luggage for convenience on the road, which is just right. He handed the things to Wu Yusen and reminded Lin Fan, the situation is urgent and there is no time to prepare it for you. But Wu Yusen will go with you. Don't worry with him. I'll wait for you at the special office. After saying that, without giving Lin Fan a chance to react, he waved his hand and ran back to the car. As soon as the door was closed, the car drove away quickly. Lin Fan's arm was still pinched by Wu Yusen. Before she could react, Jin Sichin's car had disappeared. In the distance, the familiar small tram was parked there, motionless. Okay, get on first. Wu Yusen shouted with a smile. Lin Fan looked at him, then turned back to look at the small tram in the distance, smiled and waved his arms vigorously in that direction. Then he followed Wu Yusen's strength to get on the plane. The plane quickly took off. Everyone on the tram got off one after another, watching the helicopter getting farther and farther away until it became a black dot and could no longer be seen. She just saw us. Lee Chun-hua said hesitantly. Yeah, she waved to us. Gao Fei was not in a good mood either. RGU could only sigh. Song Ren looked at the empty sky, and after a while, he said, let's go. Today's mission is very heavy. No one said anything, and everyone got on the car quietly. In the next period of time, they have to work harder. Try to surprise Lin Fan next time she comes back. On the plane, Lin Fan had put on headphones, and her ears were finally quiet. She asked John Woo, what's going on? Are you scared? John Woo handed her a bottle of drink with a smile. It's a temporary mission. I just found out about it. What mission? Lin Fan asked ignorantly. Is it urgent? She has only been on a mission once, which was the last time to fight a wildfire. It was also urgent at the time, and they set off overnight, but they just drove there. This time a helicopter will be dispatched, which makes people feel that the matter is very urgent. How should I put it? It's not a big deal, but it's also quite urgent. Wu Yusen said with some distress. To put it simply, there are 2 hikers who got lost while exploring the wild. This. Is it also the responsibility of the Special Affairs Office to find people? Isn't it usually the police or the rescue team? I remember that it was always like this in the news. Am I wrong? Lin Fan scratched his head. You are not wrong. In general, the rescue team is indeed dispatched. The plane we are on now is the rescue team's plane. Wu Yusen grinned and explained helplessly. This time it's a bit troublesome. On the one hand, the rescue site is an underground cave, which is quite deep and in the water, so the rescue team's equipment will be limited. Generally, the terrain conditions for rescue are relatively simple, either in the mountains or in the water. The place chosen by the hikers this time is special. They are going to explore the unknown area of the cave. The internal situation is very complicated, narrow, humid, dark. There is an undercurrent below, and the water level is still rising. The rescue team has already gone down to explore. It's very deep. They dived several times, but didn't find anyone. Originally, this matter is not that complicated. If they haven't found anyone, they just keep looking. The problem is that one of them is an internet celebrity with a large number of fans. They live streamed the entire exploration process online, attracting a large number of viewers. The viewers watched their live broadcast screen disappear and turn black, and they couldn't contact them, so they called the police. Thousands of alarm messages attracted the attention of the police, and after they confirmed the facts, they immediately organized a rescue. At this time, the information about the internet celebrity's loss of contact had already fermented on the internet. Countless eyes were looking at the relevant information about the rescue. After the rescue team dived and searched several times without success, a large number of netizens who were paying attention to the development of the incident became irritable under the deliberate guidance of some people. They accused the rescue team of not actively rescuing, blamed the relevant departments, and even came up with many conspiracy theories. Although the relevant departments explained that the rescue would take time, the keyboard warriors didn't listen. They made a lot of noise on the internet, leading a large group of people to start a public opinion storm, and suddenly, the credibility of the department was very badly affected. This is why ordinary rescue incidents require the intervention of the Special Affairs Office. They just want to get people out as quickly as possible. Saving people is of course an important aspect, but calming the storm is equally important. The relevant departments found that the situation was not right. After some investigation, they found that many saboteurs were mixed in to guide public opinion and wanted to take advantage of the opportunity to cause trouble. Although they controlled the people, public opinion had been misled. A large number of netizens were used without knowing it and pointed their spearheads at the relevant departments. There was even a subtle trend of opposition. So you want me to find someone? Lin Fan finally understood. Can I do it? Wu Yusen smiled lightly. If you can't do it, then no one can. After all, you are a star who can fly and hide in the sky and the ground, and you can do everything. When will someone pick me up in a helicopter? I will never complain. I will definitely be starry-eyed. Chapter 231, Spirit of Adventure. Lin Fan blushed. This is a bit exaggerated. Wu Yusen didn't think so. It is a recognized fact that Xingqian can go up to the sky, go down to the sea, and has infinite strength. There is no need to emphasize it. When Lin Fan didn't know, 623 had already used the materials of the turtle gun to conduct missile impact resistance experiments. It is really risky to let Xingqian go up and be hit by the artillery. It happened that the turtle gun needed to be melted and recast. Wenbin simply used some materials to mold a thin steel plate and wrapped it in a box. There were hard objects, soft objects, and eggs, meat and tofu wrapped in latex. Under the recording of the camera, the missile impact resistance test was carried out. As a result, after several rounds of attacks, the things inside were not hurt at all. Even the eggs and tofu were intact. Combined with the fact that Xingqian could bend the turtle gun by hand after the upgrade, the final conclusion is, in theory, Xingqian can ignore missile attacks of the same or even higher degree. Of course, this is also a theoretical inference. Under normal circumstances, no one can let Xingqian stand there and be bombarded by missiles. But no matter what, Xingqian, which is stronger than the turtle gun, is theoretically not afraid of missile threats. If it goes up, it will be upgraded to a nuclear bomb. That is even more impossible to try. Compared with the fire resistance value that only stays in theoretical data, Xingqian's resistance to cold weapons has been tested. The attacks of various known high-strength metal weapons can only create a little spark on Xingqian's outer armor, and not even a scratch. Some people even say that, if a small monster comes now, it can be solved directly by Xingqian, and Ultraman doesn't have to fly over so hard. Jokes are jokes. But with such high defense and attack power, it can still fly. In addition to the standby time, it can really be said to be invincible. In the past, Lin Fan's body was relatively fragile, but now it has become a blessing in disguise, and has become stronger. The problem of transformation time is also easy to solve. Constantly replenishing energy can reduce the significant consumption of the body in the Xingqian state. In short, it is to eat more. The more you eat, the more energy you reserve, and the longer Xingqian can stay. And as time goes by, the stable standby time is also increasing. It is very likely that one day, Lin Fan will be able to switch with Xingqian at any time without taking extra intake. Come, eat something first. Wu Yusen was not good at saying anything, because the helicopter pilot was still there. He directly opened a backpack at his feet, and grabbed a few chocolate bars. Lin Fan was not polite. Knowing that there would be a lot of consumption later, she took it and ate it. According to the previous test, at present, she can maintain the state of Xingqian for about 3 hours by constantly consuming high energy food. But if she doesn't eat, the standby time will be greatly reduced, not even an hour and a half. Wu Yusen obviously knows the situation, and he is afraid that a backpack of chocolate bars will not be enough. If it were another woman, it would be impossible for her to eat without hesitation like Lin Fan. Since Xingqian was upgraded, Lin Fan's stomach seems to have been upgraded as well, and she has never been full. The only difference between eating more and eating less will only be reflected in the standby time of Xingqian. Fortunately, her body is different now, and she will not gain weight, no matter how much she eats. If she had eaten like this, she would have been as fat as a mountain. About an hour later, the plane stopped in an empty canyon. After dropping the two people off, it flew away again. Is this the place? Lin Fan asked, looking at the huge rocks towering on both sides. It was no exaggeration to say that they were huge. Lin Fan raised his head and felt that his head was about to flip backwards before he saw the top of the mountain. The blue-black rocks seemed to want to poke a hole in the sky and pierce straight into the sky. Go a little further. It's not easy to park the plane in front, so we have to get off here. Before Wu Yusen finished speaking, a small jeep drove over. Hey, Lin Fan is here? A hearty laugh came from afar. The people in the car looked a little familiar. Lin Fan thought for a while and asked uncertainly, Zuping? You actually still remember me? Yes, I'm Zuping. Zuping was very surprised. It has been a year and a half since he last met Lin Fan. They have met twice in total, both in the conference room. At that time, Lin Fan kept his head down, and he thought she didn't remember him at all. Zuping quickly used his hands to comb his messy hair back, revealing a clear face. Long time no see, Lin Fan. Long time no see. Lin Fan's impression of Zuping still stayed on the time when he was hypnotized by Jin Sichin and fell asleep under the table. But such an indecent thing naturally could not be said. After the two of them finished greeting each other, Wu Yusen quickly asked, "What's the situation now? Get in the car first." Zuping greeted with a serious face. After the two of them sat down, he stepped on the accelerator and the car sped away before he started talking again. "Our people have gone down. The deepest dive was more than 100 meters, but it was too dark down there, and the visual distance was too short, so we didn't get anything. The Special Affairs Office took over the scene in the morning, and all irrelevant personnel, including the rescue team, avoided it. After all, the Special Affairs Office's work methods were extraordinary. So now we are waiting for Lin Fan." Wu Yusen asked, "Have you prepared the map or anything?" "There is no map for that area. We drew their route map based on the live broadcast, but there is nothing we can do about it," Zuping said helplessly. "The bottomless pit is also very special. It is a bit like a canyon crack. You can't see anything. When you look down, only black." Zuping is also an experienced person. It is the first time he has seen such a scene. To be honest, he is also a little unsure. "From what you said, this place seems to be very dangerous," Lin Fan said in the back seat. "How can there be an internet celebrity in such a dangerous place? Isn't it sealed?" "It is sealed. Why not?" Zuping got angry when he mentioned this. "It seems that something happened in this place before. It was blocked with iron nets a few years ago and no one was allowed to enter. Maybe it's been a long time. The lock is old, and it opens with a pull. These two people are really not afraid of death. Just go in like this." The barbed wire was pulled, the big padlock was locked, and a dangerous no entry sign was hung on it. Who would have thought that someone would go in? It is impossible to arrange a guard to watch it. After all, there will not be many people coming to this place all year round. Who can think of it? If these two guys hadn't done the live broadcast, their families would have had no choice but to report them missing. And there's a high chance that they won't be found. I've heard a saying before, why there are so few foreigners. Lin Fan suddenly remembered this sentence. I know, it's because they are all challenging their limits, so all the people are gone, right? John Woo continued with a smile. I think it's because their living conditions are too good. Haha, you're right. Zuping laughed. People who are hungry won't have the time to challenge nature, they're all busy making a living. But they may really love adventure. Lin Fan sighed. Some people like to play games, some people like to travel. Maybe they just like adventure. I think we should still respect them. What do you love? Zuping said unhappily. It's just for traffic. These two guys chose this place specifically to attract attention, thinking of making a splash. Haha, it's a pity that they overestimated themselves. I think respect is fine, but the premise is that you can't cause too much trouble to others. John Woo turned around and said to Lin Fan, look, because of these two people, the internet has been in an uproar. The search and rescue personnel have changed several times. This behavior. Wu Yusen shook his head. Even if you really love adventure, you must have professional knowledge, investigate and be prepared. How can they go down the canyon after learning some basic rock climbing? They underestimated the danger of nature. Now, I can only wish them good luck. Lin Fan thought about it, and it was true. How many resources were mobilized for these two people? If there is a fee for these rescues, I don't know how to calculate it, but it can be imagined that it is definitely an astronomical figure. Not to mention that it was the Special Affairs Office that mobilized, and now even she has to get involved. And those two people, I'm afraid they are in danger. I often see hikers falling down the mountain on the news. Some people are rescued, and some people are gone. I always think it's a pity. Many people still underestimate the power of nature. I hope everyone is well and safe. Chapter 232 Mission. Zuping didn't say much afterwards, and the car was driving fast. Soon they saw the camp tent. After parking the car, Zuping picked up the large luggage bag on the back seat and greeted him. Come in and take a rest first. Wu Yusen picked up Lin Fan's small travel bag and helped her open the car door. Lin Fan followed him into the tent obediently. There were many display screens inside. She saw the one in the middle at a glance, showing a large area of black. It's the cave entrance. There is a camera facing it. Zuping put down the bag and took the initiative to explain when he saw Lin Fan was attracted by the content on the screen. Lin Fan walked a few steps closer to take a closer look. On the edge of the screen, there were some green plants growing on the blue rocks. The middle surrounded by rocks was where the cave entrance was. I don't know if it was because it was too deep. The sunlight only stayed at the edge of the cave entrance and didn't shine in. The black part was like an eyeball, just quietly facing the people in front of the screen. This is a simulated route map, the terrain of the cave entrance, and the live broadcast clip. Zuping spread the map on the table and then clicked on the video, wanting Lin Fan to have a more intuitive understanding. The video is more than an hour long. I sped up the unimportant parts and kept the key parts as they were. I cut it into a video of more than 20 minutes. Take a look. Zuping pushed the notebook in front of Lin Fan. Wu Yusen took a chair and put it behind Lin Fan, motioning her to sit down. He opened the big luggage bag and took out food for her. At the same time, he threw a can of something to Zuping. Have someone rinse this. Rinse more. Zuping reached out to take it. It was a can of cocoa powder. Without asking any more questions, he gave the order. Lin Fan ate a chocolate bar and drank hot cocoa and quickly finished watching the video. I'm going to follow their original path to find someone, right? She asked. Yes, but now the tide is rising below. The places you see in the video are all flooded. That's why we have to dive when we go down, but it's still more troublesome to do it in practice. Zuping explained. If they are given enough time to explore slowly, it's not impossible. But what they lack most now is time. To be able to dive for a long time, deep, fast, strong, powerful, and able to resist crisis. After considering all the abilities, only Xingqian meets the requirements. Originally, the bionic armor was also possible. But unfortunately, the Mecha is being updated. Otherwise, Song Ren and the others should have come together this time. But then again, there are only 2 trapped people. More mechas are nothing more than one more training opportunity. For the trapped people, the difference is not that big. It's winter now. Will there be high tides? Lin Fan was stunned. Why did she remember that high tides seemed to be a thing in spring or summer, and it seemed that there were also high tides in autumn, but in winter, the rise and fall of tides are due to the rotation of the earth and the gravity of the sun and the moon. In theory, there will be high tides and low tides every day, but the degree varies. John Woo opened another bag of chocolate bars and handed them to Lin Fan. Anyway, this is a current situation. You need to go down and see the details. Zuping said. 800 people have synchronized the Xinglan system for us, and Xingqian's camera and call key have also been locked. When the time comes, we will synchronize the images on your eyepiece and keep in touch with you. Lin Fan nodded. She wanted to ask, what should she do when she goes down? It's good to have guidance. This time, because we need to take advantage of your speed. No one can keep up with Xingqian's speed, so you can only go down alone. Wu Yusen reminded a little worriedly, but don't worry, we will all stay up there. If there is any situation, protect yourself in the first place. Yes, protecting yourself is the most important thing. Zuping also agreed, but according to Xingqian's ability, there shouldn't be any problems, right? Lin Fan kept nodding and talking as he listened to them talking. It is unknown how long the exploration process will take, and Xingqian's state naturally needs to last as long as possible. Soon, Lin Fan ate a bag of things and drank half a can of hot cocoa. Fortunately, these things will be directly converted into star energy. Otherwise, the hot cocoa alone will make her want to go to the bathroom constantly. Think about it. Think about it. Is she becoming more and more abnormal? When Lin Fan put on her combat uniform, her thoughts suddenly began to wander. Fortunately, Wu Yusen called out from outside and woke her up in time. Now is not the time to be absent. She walked out of the tent. Wu Yusen and Zuping's eyes flashed with surprise. Lin Fan's figure has reached the most perfect state under cell strengthening. The muscles are symmetrical and powerful, and the lines are smooth. It is true that one more point is fat, and one less point is thin. With the wrapping of the white combat uniform, strength and beauty are fully reflected. Zuping couldn't help but whistle. I declare that from today on, Lin Fan is my goddess. Lin Fan smiled and didn't take his words seriously. The cave entrance is not far from the tent. Zuping led the two of them and walked over quickly. Standing at the edge of the cave in trance and looking down, the feeling is completely different from what you see on the screen. The darkness that was so dark that you couldn't see the bottom suddenly reminded Lin Fan of the time when she encountered the big hairtail in the deep sea. Could there be monsters hiding below? Lin Fan's heart was a little trembling, but the arrow had to be shot, and she couldn't back down at the last minute. Thinking about what everyone said before, the big hairtail only looked scary, but in fact it couldn't beat Xingqian. Lin Fan felt a little relieved. Then she thought that Xingqian had been upgraded, his attack power had increased, and he had weapons. She felt more reassured. With a wave of her hand, she turned on the goggles and communication system. Test, I'm ready. Can the console receive it? The console received it. I wish you a smooth operation. The successful feedback came from the headset. Wu Yusen handed over the oxygen cylinder and waterproof bag in his hand. Although it's been a long time, if they are still alive, this will be used. There are anti-pressure diving suits, food, water and other things in the bag. The specific situation, I'll tell you when the time comes. Got it. Lin Fan took it effortless. Anything else to pay attention to? Be sure to be careful. Wu Yusen smiled and reminded. Wait for you to come up. Zuping smiled with ease, as if he had foreseen success. Lin Fan nodded to the two of them, threw the bag in his hand down, and fell to the side. He instantly turned into Xingqian, caught the things in the air, and fell into the darkness and disappeared. While Zuping, who saw the transformation for the first time, was stunned for a long time inside. Wu Yusen was also in a state of ups and downs. Although it was just a glimpse, the appearance of Xingqian was completely different from the last time he saw it. Lin Fan's performance also seemed to be at ease. It seemed that there was nothing to worry about. Let's go back and watch the live broadcast. Wu Yusen quickened his pace. Zuping also hurriedly followed. Let's go. Next time, you have to let Lin Fan transform in front of me. I didn't see anything. It was the first time to perform a mission alone, and I was a little scared. Chapter 233, In Depth. In the darkness, Lin Fan was descending rapidly. The unknown darkness does bring fear to the heart. She held the oxygen and backpack tightly with both hands and encouraged herself. After falling for a while, she fell into the water with a plop. The water in the darkness was naturally dark. Fortunately, after Xingqian upgraded, his vision gradually improved. He could vaguely penetrate the darkness of 100 meters and see far away. But this was only what Lin Fan saw. In the tent, everyone who watched the picture through the camera on the eyepiece could still only see the fluorescent light from Xingqian's eyes, illuminating the small area. Lin Fan, the picture is not clear. Is it clear on your side? Zuping's voice came from the headset. Can't see it clearly? Lin Fan was stunned for a moment. Let me see. She swam quickly along the route map in her memory while trying to control the Xingqian system and adjust the clarity of the camera. After tinkering with it, the picture on the screen did not change at all. Instead, Lin Fan exclaimed, "Ah, what's wrong?" Wu Yusen asked nervously. Lin Fan looked at the lines that appeared in front of him, which were similar to perspective drawings, and his body stopped for a moment. After trying several times and confirming that it was a new function of Xingqian, he continued to move forward. Nothing. It seems that a new function of the eyes has been turned on, a bit like radar or perspective, and I can see a lot of lines. Ah. A sigh of envy and jealousy came from the headset. We can't see anything here. You use radar? Didn't 800 say that this artificial intelligence is the most advanced? What kind of crap is that? Lin Fan coughed. I will convey your opinion to them. But the Xingqian system in Xingqian is only a camera and communication system. Maybe I don't know how to use it. I'll ask later. Zuping didn't say much. This mission is urgent, and the Special Affairs Office and 800 have not yet handed over many aspects of Xingqian. It can't be blamed entirely on them. By the way, did these two people go so deep? Lin Fan didn't feel anything when she watched the video. When she came down by herself, she found that the passage was rugged and had been 1 or 2 kilometers. When they went down, the water hadn't come up yet. Zuping explained in the headset, the passage they entered should be a structure with a low outside and a high inside. When the water comes up and floods the entrance, they naturally can't get out. If you are unlucky, you will already be soaked in the water. The England system has its own positioning. Lin Fan went up and down below, and the console has already displayed her movement trajectory in real time. As Zuping said, it was down first and then up, and it coincided with the route in the live video. Their divers went down several times, but they couldn't find the correct entrance because it was too dark. It's Xingqian, it's effortless. Not long after Lin Fan finished speaking, she jumped out of the water. This is a sharp turn, and she quickly controlled her momentum and almost hit the top of the passage. Although Xingqian's outer armor is hard and not afraid of collisions, Lin Fan will still feel friction and collisions. It's better not to touch the ground if you can. Besides, Xingqian is fine. What if the passage collapses? Right? According to Xingqian's strength, it's not impossible. Carefully landing on the ground, Lin Fan looked around. This is a cave-like place, surrounded by limestone tissue, rough and bumpy. Maybe many people have been to the cave for sightseeing, feeling colorful and particularly beautiful. But without the light, there is really nothing to make people happy in the dark cave. Lin Fan tried again, and found that Xingqian's eyes can also be turned into spotlight mode. Light green light shot out from the narrow eyes, and the place where it went was suddenly lit up. Oh my, Lin Fan whispered, and quickly adjusted the illumination distance to about 150 meters in front of him, and then walked forward with peace of mind. You are wasting too much, aren't you? Zuping saw that the lens on the screen was clear in an instant, and when he asked, he realized that Lin Fan used his eyes as a flashlight. What's the matter? Turn it off? Lin Fan walked and talked. I can actually see clearly. Didn't you say you couldn't see clearly? Now there is a light. You are disgusted. No, 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 I don't dislike it. How dare Zuping dislike it? It's better to see something than to be in the dark. Lin Fan, be careful to prevent unknown objects from being attracted by the light. Wu Yusen was more concerned about her safety. I know, I've adjusted it. It's just right now. You can see clearly and it's not too far away. Lin Fan agreed. Besides, the two people should have flashlights before. If there is any situation, they should have help to explore. The good news is that no abnormalities have been found so far. Just after he finished speaking, there was a click sound under his feet, like the sound of broken glass. Lin Fan looked down and saw that her toe stepped on a mobile phone. She picked it up carefully. The screen was broken, but the structure seemed to be okay. It's their mobile phone. Zuping compared the information and confirmed. Can you turn it on and take a look? Lin Fan tried to turn it on, but the boot animation lit up, followed by the low battery warning, and then the screen went black. There is a power bank and a data cable in the waterproof bag. Connect them and see if you can find any useful information from the phone. Wu Yusen suggested. Lin Fan followed the order, quickly charged her phone, put it in a waterproof bag, and continued to move forward. Since I saw the phone, the person must be in front. Lin Fan was a little happy when he spoke. There is no water here. Maybe the person is still fine. It is very likely. Zuping also nodded in affirmation. Today is only the 5th day. There is air and water. Even if there is no food, the possibility of survival is still relatively large. The people at the control console were encouraged by this possibility, and the atmosphere was very good. Lin Fan continued to walk in, and all she could hear were her own footsteps and the echo of her footsteps. In fact, it is still a bit scary in a dark place. After walking for a long time, Lin Fan was talking. After all, she was a girl. How could she not be afraid in such an environment? She was not afraid last year, because she was not afraid of anything at that time. She was not afraid, but others were afraid of her. Now she is fine. Others are not afraid of her, but she is starting to be afraid. When Lin Fan thought of this, she suddenly felt a little entangled. She couldn't say which one was good and which one was bad. Can't we make a comprehensive analysis? Don't be afraid, Lin Fan. Just go forward boldly. Go forward. Don't look back. Zuping started to sing as he spoke. How about I sing you a song to give you courage? Forget it. Lin Fan refused without a second thought. Although Zuping's songs were all in tune, they were probably too powerful and even had a ghostly howling tone. Lin Fan felt even more panicked after hearing this. Wu Yusen interrupted at the right time and talked about some light topics, which gradually made Lin Fan begin to relax. Hey, there's a hole in this wall. Can I go in? Lin Fan stood at the entrance of the hole and began to worry. What should I do if I encounter a fork? Urgent. Waiting online. The entrance of the hole is not big and it seems a bit cramped for Xingqian. If you want to go in without bumping into anything, you have to shrink your body. The light shines in and you can't see the end at a glance. It's not clear what's going on inside. If you want to go in, you have to shrink your body and your state will definitely not be very comfortable. After Wu Yusen and Zuping discussed, they decided to let her ignore the small hole for now and walk forward along the spacious main road. After Lin Fan walked forward for a while, he suddenly felt a sound coming from the small cave and couldn't help but look back. Unexpectedly, the next second, the bottom of his feet suddenly collapsed and Xingqian fell straight down. When I was eating, I accidentally bit the meat on my lower mouth and bit the same place 5 times. It hurt so much that my tears fell. Chapter 234 Find 1. Lin Fan was startled, but then she remembered that Xingqian could fly and quickly stabilized her body. She needs to improve her mental quality, she thought to herself, and turned around to look around. The place where she was standing just now has collapsed. In the darkness, the sound of falling rocks kept ringing. A big pit formed on the road surface, and Lin Fan was floating at the edge of the pit. Could it be that Xingqian was too heavy and stepped on the road surface? The interior of the cave is a limestone structure, which is not very hard. The rock mass in the collapsed area is relatively thin, which may be the reason why Xingqian, who is heavier, stepped on it and collapsed. Are you okay? Wu Yusen's voice came. It's okay. It should be that the structure at this location is weak and Xingqian is too heavy, so I stepped on it and made a pit. I'll pay attention to the weight later. Lin Fan glanced down casually. It was pitch black and she couldn't see anything. She adjusted the suspension strength and flew to the opposite side. She was now familiar with Xingqian's flying ability. It was not troublesome for her to use suspension to reduce her own weight, but it would consume a little more energy. But obviously, she didn't expect that the structure of the fracture in front was even more fragile. As soon as she stepped on the ground, another piece collapsed. It seems that she needs to be more gentle. Just when she was thinking about adjusting it again, she suddenly heard a voice from below. Help, help. The voice was light and shallow, mixed with the sound of falling rocks and echoes. If it weren't for her extraordinary hearing, she might have ignored it. There are people below. Lin Fan's expression became serious, and he turned around and flew in the direction where the sound came from. What's wrong? Zuping looked at the screen and the picture suddenly flipped and asked. I think I heard a cry for help. Lin Fan didn't know the terrain below, so he didn't dare to fly too fast, fearing that he would break the limestone again. Since there were people below, there was a high probability that they fell down. A lot of rocks fell just now, and I don't know if the people below were injured. It would be bad if they were injured for the 3rd time. When they heard that there were people, everyone at the control console was refreshed. They didn't like these 2 guys who were looking for trouble, but they still hoped that people would be alive. Life is always worthy of respect. Lin Fan also successfully found the person who asked for help. About 30 meters below the collapse, there was a C-shaped depression. The rocks on the top formed a natural shelter, and a person was lying inside. When Lin Fan stepped on the collapsed ground for the first time, the falling rocks only fell on the top of the sea and did not hit him. Instead, when the rocks on the opposite side fell, some small pieces of gravel bounced on the rock wall and hit him. In addition, Lin Fan's speech attracted his attention, and he began to call for help. If it weren't for this coincidence, Lin Fan would have thought that the pit was all stepped on by Xingqian, and would never have thought that there was someone underneath. The 2 of them would definitely miss each other. Lin Fan landed carefully in front of the person who asked for help. He was wearing a helmet-like thing on his head, with a square camera on it. There were a lot of blood scratches on his face, his lips were chapped, and he was barely breathing. Even when the rescue came to him, he couldn't move at all, only his eyes seemed to burst into surprise. Are you okay? Lin Fan was concerned about the other person's eyes, dimmed the light, took a quick look, and turned his head away, trying not to let the light shine directly into the other person's eyes. Fortunately, there seemed to be no bleeding or exposed wounds. She quickly took out a bottle of water from the waterproof bag and carefully fed it to the man's mouth. One look at the mouth showed that he must be short of water. I don't know how long he has been trapped here. Control panel. Found a trapped person. Please verify his identity. Lin Fan did not forget to report while feeding him. Aim at his face. Zooping carefully identified the photo before confirming it. Yes, it's that internet celebrity named Luan. This name, the person is not at all restless. After receiving the water, Luan, like a dehydrated fish, gradually recovered after receiving the moisture of water. Perhaps because he knew he was rescued, his mental state also changed. He still had no strength, but his spirit was visibly better. Can I eat? Lin Fan took out a bag of liquid food, opened the lid, and handed it to his mouth. At first, she had to help squeeze it, but later Luan could move by himself, and he squeezed his mouth with both hands. Fortunately, the mouth of the package is relatively small, otherwise Lin Fan suspected that he could pour it into his nostrils. After finishing a package of things, Luan finally breathed a sigh of relief and felt that he was alive again. Are you Luan? Lin Fan took the package and stuffed it back into the waterproof bag and handed him the water. Luan nodded. He held the water bottle and drank a few more gulps, then looked at Lin Fan. Because he hadn't seen the light for a long time, facing two light sources, he couldn't see the stars behind him at all. He only knew that the person who saved him seemed to be a woman. There is another person named Feng Chuang. Ask him where he is. Zooping's instructions came again in the headset. When Lin Fan came down just now, he had quickly scanned the surroundings and didn't see a second person nearby. Luan, where is Feng Chuang who came with you now? Lin Fan said, and looked around again to make sure that there was indeed no trace of other people nearby. I don't know. Luan recalled and said, he was walking behind me. When I fell, he seemed to be still on top. Yes. He didn't fall. Luan's voice came back through Lin Fan's headphones. Feng Chuang didn't fall? Is it likely that he is on the other side? Zooping asked. Probably not. Wu Yusen shook his head. No normal person can't continue to move forward when his companion falls, and the situation is unclear. I don't think so either. Lin Fan agreed, not counting the place where I stepped on. This pit is still quite large. It is more than 3 meters long, and there is no place to step on both sides. I don't think most people would take the risk to jump over. Not to mention, whether he can jump over, he doesn't know what is ahead, so there is no need to gamble his life. Luan could only hear what Lin Fan said, and mustered up the courage to ask her for another bag of food. I don't think he will jump either. I asked him for help, but he ignored me. I think he might have run back. In that case, Wu Yusen pondered. He should have entered that cave. Lin Fan was silent. I just turned back, because I vaguely heard a sound in there. As a result, I didn't pay attention to my feet. Along the way, except for the cave just now, there were no other forks. It's impossible that Feng Chuang went back to the water again. He can't be that stupid. The entrance of the cave is a little narrow, but it is still relatively spacious for ordinary people. Did you see the cave not far away when you came here? Lin Fan asked Luan. I saw it. Luan said gulpingly. Feng Chuang wanted to take that road, but I said the small road was not easy to walk, so it was better to take the main road. He didn't argue with me. The road in the cave was bumpy and uneven, and it didn't look as smooth as the road outside. And the space was not as big as the outside. It looked a little cramped, making people feel uneasy and unsafe. Luan thought it was better to take the main road, but he didn't expect that the main road was also unsafe. That should be right. Feng Chuang entered the cave. Lin Fan nodded gently. The road he should take cannot be avoided. It seems that he still needs to shrink his body and go in to find someone. Chapter 235 Princess Hug. Luan was found faster than everyone expected. We thought it would take some searching, but it was so easy. But this was also because it was Lin Fan who was looking for someone, and he could do it so quickly with the high energy attributes of the stars. Otherwise, according to the previous search results, we wouldn't even have found the entrance. Not to mention that after coming in, we stepped on the ground and found Luan in the pit. With Luan's condition just now, if we delayed for another day, he might be gone. In short, everyone was a little relieved. Sure enough, it was right to call Lin Fan. Check on Luan's condition. Is he injured? Zooping ordered. How to see this? She doesn't understand these things either. Lin Fan thought. But she still squatted down immediately. How are you? Are you injured anywhere? Are you feeling uncomfortable? Since the person is awake, of course it is best to ask him in person. With the help of Lin Fan, Luan slowly sat up, moved a little, and said, "It seems to be fine. There are no vital injuries, but there are more scratches. Are you sure?" Lin Fan asked doubtfully, looking up. "You fell from a high place. Are you sure you only have scratches?" "I'm lucky. I rolled down the slope, so I didn't fall from a high altitude." Luan patted his chest in fear, "But my foot seems to be twisted. It hurts a lot." Lin Fan hurriedly looked at his feet. Luan carefully lifted up his trouser legs and socks, and sure enough, he saw that one of his ankles was swollen. "Isn't it broken?" Lin Fan frowned. Before the console responded, Luan replied, "It's not broken, it should be dislocated, and we can go back to the orthopedics department to fix it." "Are you so sure?" Lin Fan asked doubtfully. "Although you know your own body best, most people wouldn't be so sure when they are injured, right?" He was a doctor before he became an internet celebrity. Zooping's voice came from the headset. "You were a doctor before?" Lin Fan asked in surprise, and then asked quickly, "Then can you put it back together yourself?" "I want to. Luan smiled bitterly. "It's a pity that my original major was internal medicine, not orthopedics. Otherwise, I would have been able to walk now if I had been hard-hearted." Although the basic medicine is the same, different departments can be said to be as different as mountains. At least internal medicine and orthopedics are very different. Dislocation. It seems that you just need to use force to pull the dislocated joint apart and then move it back to the correct position. It sounds simple, but it actually requires experience and skills. Xingchen is strong, but Lin Fan has no experience in this area. If she is not careful, she will make the person who was only dislocated disabled again. So this idea only flashed in her mind and disappeared quickly. Lin Fan helped the person stand up slowly and moved a little. Luan was still a little weak, but after the supplement just now, and because of being rescued, he was in good spirits. After a careful feeling, although his whole body ached, and one of his feet was suspected to be dislocated, there should be no problem with his bones and internal organs. He felt more at ease, and was ready to talk to Lin Fan happily. As a result, he looked up, and saw Xingchen's Mecha face. You. Xingchen's eyes had always been in the mode of strong flashlights. After seeing Luan, he knew that he had been in the dark for a long time, and could not accept strong light, so he had adjusted the brightness to soft light mode, and reduced the distance of the light, and tried to avoid his eyes, and not shine it on his face. But as Luan stood up, the big man of more than 1.8 meters could see Xingchen's face by tilting his head. Lin Fan was afraid that such a close distance would hurt his eyes. After thinking about it, he turned off the flashlight function and switched to normal mode. In this state, the green eyes will emit green fluorescence, a bit like a cold light. However, at the control console, the people who wanted to see the real-time picture through the camera could not see it clearly. On the contrary, Luan, who was previously affected by the light and could not see clearly, finally saw Xingchen's face clearly under the bright green light. He had always thought that the person who came would be a firefighter or a professional rescuer wearing rescue equipment. Even if it was a woman, he didn't care much. But when he saw Xingchen, it was still beyond his expectations. He widened his eyes and quickly scanned Xingchen up and down. He shouted in a very excited and almost broken voice, I knew it was true. A few months ago, a photo of a firefighting mecha was exposed on the internet. As an internet celebrity, Luan certainly wouldn't miss it. He is a positive party. At that time, he also made a lot of positive remarks, quarreled with a group of people on the other side of the internet, and almost broke the keyboard. Unfortunately, the author came out and posted an apology video, which greatly disappointed them. He also went to the author's account to leave a message and said all the swear words he knew. Unfortunately, the author has not updated the status since the apology video. Later, more internet hot searches quickly covered up this matter. Luan gradually forgot about this matter until he saw Xingchen with his own eyes again today. Although many places of Xingchen have changed after the upgrade, the changes in his face are not big. It is easy to associate her face with Jingang's face, and the similarity between the two is still very high. Luan looked at Xingqian, as if he was looking at Meng Zhangqingjia, and for a moment he forgot the environment and pain he was in. He saw that Meng Zhangqingjia was still holding him with both hands, and he couldn't help but stroke the other's hand. Lin Fan almost couldn't help but pull his hand out on the spot. You know, she can fully feel the touch of Xingqian's shell. Luan touching Xingqian's hand is equivalent to touching her hand. That feeling. She frowned, and the hair on her body stood up. Reason told her that the consequence of pulling her hand out would be that the person would fall and cause more serious injuries. In order not to cause greater burden to herself, Lin Fan endured and said unhappily, "Have you touched enough?" "Ah, sorry." Luan woke up from his complacency, and his heart was excited and afraid, and a little happy, and finally pain. Fear. I don't know where it went. Lin Fan, confiscate his camera. Wu Yusen reminded. Since the person is awake, it is inevitable that Xingqian will be exposed. But it's okay, the special forces have a complete cleanup mechanism, so there's no need to worry. It's just that these recording devices must not be leaked out. Of course, if they leak out, they also have a prognosis mechanism. But who would go to trouble if they can avoid trouble? Give me your camera. Lin Fan held Luan's back with one hand to steady him, and quickly pulled the other hand out of his hands. Oh my god, I must be careful in the future, and not let people grab my hands like this. It's terrible. Oh. Luan was stunned for a moment before reacting, then took off his helmet and obediently took off the camera. Lin Fan took it, and looked at it. It's not turned on. It ran out of power a long time ago. Luan smiled. Beauty. Lin Fan glanced at him. In Luan's opinion, it was Xingqian who looked at him coldly, as if she was unhappy with the title. Sister? You can't call me comrade, right? Luan had a bitter face. Calling me comrade doesn't fit your temperament. Lin Fan sighed slightly. Why did she care about this guy? A stranger who she would never see again after going out. Shaking her head, she put the camera into the waterproof bag. Put on your helmet. You didn't get hurt on the head, probably because of the protection of this helmet. Oh. Luan was very obedient. He did whatever his sister said. Lin Fan glanced around again, and after confirming that there was nothing, he slung the waterproof bag and oxygen cylinder over his arm. Okay, let's go up first. Go find your companion quickly. I don't know how he is doing. The standby time of Xingqian is still very precious. The sooner you find someone, the sooner you can feel at ease. Oh. Luan was still thinking about how to go up, and saw the white Mecha approaching, bending down slightly, one hand behind his back, and the other hand behind his knees. Before he could react, the whole person was lifted up steadily. Looking at the steel Mecha that was almost attached to him, he naturally felt full of security. But, princess hug? I also want a princess hug. But according to the popular science video of the fire department, my weight requires 2 people to carry. Not happy. Chapter 236 Luan seeking death. Sister. Luan, who was nearly 1.9 meters tall, wanted to struggle. Is this way of holding not suitable for me? Do you want me to carry you, or hold you in my arms? Lin Fan asked. She had thought about it carefully too. Okay. Carrying. It's not impossible. But the shoulder armor is too high. Luan will definitely get stuck at her neck, which will definitely be very uncomfortable. Holding in my arms is also okay, but she feels that the posture is a little disrespectful. Can I carry you on my back? Luan also saw the towering shoulder blades and proposed a more conventional solution. Lin Fan directly raised his wings. Hey, there's this behind, and there's no place to carry you. Do you think she likes a princess hug? Or hugging such a big man? Her first time, a princess hug, was ruined like this. Don't move, I'm going up. No matter how he sighed in his heart, he still had to do his job well. In order to take the feelings of the wounded into consideration, Lin Fan did not dare to fly too fast. Slowly floated into the air, and landed steadily on the ground. Ah, sister, you are so steady. Luan folded his hands in front of his chest, and asked with admiration. Sure enough, has our technology developed to this point now? Lin Fan ignored him, and carried the person to the small cave. But deep down, she was not as scared as before, because someone kept chattering. Suddenly she thought of Lee Chun-hua. Sister, say something. Seeing that Lin Fan ignored him, Lin was not discouraged and waved his hand in front of Xingqian's green eyes, trying to attract her attention. Don't you want your hand anymore? Lin Fan said coldly. She was wrong. Lee Chun-hua was much cuter than this guy. Lin subconsciously retracted his hand, and then smiled again. You won't. Sister, you are not that kind of person. Lin Fan was speechless when she saw him like this. Well, it's not bad to have someone to chat with in the dark. It saves her from looking for someone to chat with in the headphones. I'm not that kind of person. Lin Fan herself didn't know who she was, but this chatterbox spoke as if he knew her well. That's right. Lin seemed to have forgotten the pain of being trapped before and regained his indomitable and thick-skinned nature. You have always been very gentle, whether it was feeding me water and food or helping me up. Look, the strength of holding me was also very gentle. Lin Fan paused, hesitating whether to add a little strength to make him less comfortable. After thinking about it, he decided to forget it. You didn't become a doctor in the first place, didn't you get complained about because you talk too much? She had walked back to the entrance of the small cave, looked at the narrow cave, frowned and ordered, pull your legs inward. Lin saw that the huge Mecha was trying hard to shrink inward and obediently pulled his legs inward tightly. That's not the case. I feel that being a doctor is too hard and the effort and reward are not proportional. But you are right. There are too many concerns and you can't say whatever you want. If you are not careful, you will be complained. I thought that people who would become doctors all have the lofty ideal of curing diseases and saving lives. Lin Fan curled up as much as possible, trying to make the stars smaller, but it was still inevitable that he would bump here and there. Fortunately, it only left some scratches in the hole, without causing too much damage. I used to think so. But after I actually started working, I found that the reality was very different from what I imagined. Lin became serious when he said this. Doctors work long hours and have a heavy workload. Many times, they can't even guarantee their own health, and they still want to save others. Lin Fan looked down, and there was a story on Lin's lonely face. But she didn't intend to listen to his story, and was about to change the topic to chat. A voice came from the headset. Lin Fan, turn on the flashlight. I can't see clearly here. Zooping stuck in front of the screen and almost put his head in Diana 800. This broken camera, the latest artificial intelligence, doesn't even have a night vision function. Broken stuff. It's far worse than the equipment department of their special office. I'll complain when he gets back. Lin Fan stopped. She didn't dare to do other things while walking like before. What if she was not careful and didn't pay attention to her feet? Bah. He turned his head and adjusted the light back to the low beam effect. Since the illumination was certain, it was not too dazzling for Lin to see. Then he continued to walk forward. Why did you become an internet celebrity after you stopped being a doctor? Lin Fan felt that the two professions were a bit too different and had nothing to do with each other. I heard that you have a lot of fans. Are you in the field of travel and adventure? No, I'm a fitness blogger. Lin scratched his head. You do have a lot of fans. More than 2 million. More than 2 million. Lin Fan thought about it in her mind. Is it a lot? She didn't pay attention to these at all, but it sounded like the number was quite scary. Quite a lot. Putting aside the stars and celebrities who are already well known, more than 2 million fans are considered very well known. John Woo was popularizing science over there, so after he lost contact, his fans blew up the phone. If not for this, he might have died here. Sister, you don't even know me. Lin was surprised. Although he is a little out of fashion now, he was really popular 2 years ago. Anyone who has access to the internet has seen Lin's fitness videos. He has even led the national fitness craze for more than half a year and has even been on TV. This sister sounds quite young. How could she not know him? It's me. 2 bites of food won't make you fat. The most handsome fitness blogger on the internet. Lin reported his online name and then touched his face. Could it be that my face was injured too badly so the sister couldn't recognize me? Lin Fan couldn't help but take another close look at his face. Although there were many scratches, it was not disfigured. But if you want to talk about handsomeness, in Lin Fan's mind, a series of faces flashed quickly. Song Ren, Jin Sichin, Wu Yusen, Gu, Gao Fei, Li Chunhua. This Lin can't even be ranked. If you have to count, he is probably as good looking as Zhang Zhaoji. With this appearance, you still have the nerve to say that you are the most handsome on the internet. Lin Fan secretly rolled his eyes. You are a fitness blogger. Why did you come to this remote place to survive in the wilderness? Have you come here after professional training? Do you know how many people were dispatched to find you this time? I didn't know at first, but when I saw you, sister, I knew it was a big deal. Lin was not stupid. He thought of the previous reversal of public opinion and knew that the Mecha should still be a confidential technology. It must be a big deal that they were dispatched to rescue him. No, you don't know. It's much more serious than you think. Lin Fan thought, but these were not what she should say. I don't want to survive in the wilderness either. But, Lin sighed. Now the internet updates quickly, and after I became popular for a while, my popularity declined sharply. I thought about doing some eye-catching content to bring in a wave of traffic, but I didn't expect. Plans can't keep up with changes. Unexpectedly, this attempt almost cost him his life. Lin couldn't help but shudder when he thought of this. He will never forget the scene of calling to the sky and the earth in the dark and getting no response. Thinking of this, he suddenly became silent. After walking about 1,000 meters, the corridor began to widen. Xingqian could finally stretch his body slowly, no longer curled up. Tell me about Feng Chuang. What kind of person is he? Lin Fan looked at the increasingly open road, and his mood became open. Feng Chuang? Lin was awakened by Lin Fan's question, and thought for a while before saying, he used to be a photographer. This time he came down with me, mainly to do photography work, holding a camera to shoot me. Anything else? Lin Fan wanted to get a little more information, which might be useful when looking for someone later. Anything else? No, this is the first time I've met him, and I'm not familiar with him yet. Lin replied. Lin Fan almost threw the person in his hand to the ground. You dare to go out on an adventure with others when you are not familiar with them? No wonder no one rescued you when you fell into the cave. It turns out that if you don't do anything, you won't die. Lin originally had a story, but I thought about it again. Forget it. A supporting role, not worth everyone spending money to watch. Forget it. Ha 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 ha. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 237 Antecedents. This Lin is also stupid. He comes to this wilderness with people he doesn't know well. He is not afraid of being robbed and killed. Zuping dragged a chair and sat in front of the screen, crossing his legs comfortably. Wu Yusen leaned on the table with his arms around his chest, smiled, and said nothing. You shouldn't be called Lin. You should be called Lu Daten. Lin Fan complained. Really? When I quit my job in the hospital, my mother said the same thing. Lin instantly looked proud. I also feel that I'm very courageous. Dare to think and dare to take risks. Maybe it's because I'm young. Did he think that this was a compliment to him? Lin Fan was speechless and quickly interrupted his long speech. By the way, you are a fitness blogger. Can't you just shoot fitness videos? Why are you running to the wilderness? Sister, you don't know that it's not easy to be an internet celebrity. Lin's face fell all of a sudden. Things like fitness are more about scientific, standardized movements and long-term self-discipline. He teaches fitness through live broadcasts. Not many people paid attention to it, but I don't know why he suddenly became popular one day. The news media also rushed to report, commenting on his novel way of popularizing fitness. In addition, he is handsome and speaks interestingly, so a large number of fans flocked to his account in an instant, and soon he became a big V with millions of fans. But over time, the movements of various parts have been taught over and over again, and the audience who have watched it several times can quickly learn it and exercise independently. The novelty gradually faded, and the audience was naturally attracted by other more interesting content. Being popular for half a year is actually very good for a fitness blogger. But internet celebrities who cannot maintain their freshness will soon be forgotten by the internet. What does that have to do with you running out to do Adventure Live broadcasts? Lin Fan understood, but didn't understand. If he had been a fitness blogger obediently, he wouldn't have encountered such a bad thing. That's still forced by life. Lin smiled awkwardly. I originally wanted to stick to myself, so I focused on making good fitness videos. But after the bonus period, fans began to lose a lot. I think this won't work. Can't make money? Lin Fan felt a little tired talking to Lin. I have to go over his nice words in my mind before I can summarize a key point. He is so big. Can't he speak more directly? Aha, money or not, do I care about that? Lin denied. I cherish my fans. Anyway, outdoor videos are popular recently, so I thought I might as well give it a try. Then you can find a park or some beautiful place to shoot fitness videos. Why are you running here? Lin Fan still couldn't understand. Even if you want to change careers and cross borders, wouldn't it be a little bit? Such a big change all of a sudden. See, it's ridiculous, right? He has shot it, but it didn't become popular. In the headphones, zooping exposed Lin's past. So that's it. Lin Fan immediately understood. I didn't want to do this originally, but a fan mentioned the Outdoor Adventure Live broadcast in the comment section, and then many people liked it. Lin looked depressed. He had said in a video before that fans should leave a message in the comment section asking him what they wanted him to do. As long as the comment with the most likes is not illegal, immoral, or against public order and good customs, he will definitely be satisfied. After the results came out, he was actually hesitant, but if he didn't do the Adventure Live broadcast, he would become a person who doesn't keep his word and may face a large number of fans leaving. So, after hesitating again and again, he asked everyone to provide adventure locations, and he would choose one of them for the Adventure Live broadcast. Doing this, on the one hand, is to delay time. What if everyone forgets after a long time? Or you can find an excuse and say that you haven't found a suitable place yet. I wanted to postpone it, but the fans have never forgotten it, and they keep refreshing the screen every time. I saw that it wouldn't work, so why not choose an easier one and finish it as soon as possible? Lin sighed helplessly. I thought I chose a simple level, but I thought fans would follow bloggers because they like them. Why do you feel like you are being set up by fans? Lin Fan didn't understand much about this, but he felt that it was weird that Lin, such a big internet celebrity, was forced to do things he didn't want to do. Then he criticized again, but it's also your own fault. You dare to make a promise. Do you know who those fans are? What requests will they make? People's hearts have always been the most difficult thing in the world to look directly at. With more than 2 million fans, it is difficult to guarantee what kind of people they are. Lin felt his face burning. He didn't dare to tell Lin Fan that in fact, many of the fans' requests could not be looked at directly, and there were also many very malicious requests. Although the Adventure Live broadcast was more difficult for him, it was actually normal in comparison. Then why did you choose this place? Lin Fan asked. As far as I know, not many people know about this place. That's because not many people know about it. Lin sighed again. Most of the places provided in the comments section are over the top. You can find a lot of videos with just a random search. Fans don't want to watch it. In the end, they voted for a few places that few people know about, and this is one of them. I went online and Baidu, but I didn't find much information. But Feng Chuang sent me a private message and provided me with a lot of information and pictures about this place. After getting more information, I felt more confident. Compared with other unknown and high-risk places, this place is not bad. After Lin finished speaking, he felt something was wrong and added, at least it was not bad before the accident. How did Feng Chuang have information and pictures about this place? Lin Fan felt strange. Wu Yusen seemed to know what she was thinking, and explained in the headset. Feng Chuang is a freelance photographer. Although he is not famous, he has traveled to many places. He may have been here before. Lin Fan nodded. This makes sense. Feng Chuang said he had been here before and had gone down there, but he didn't go that deep, so there was no danger. If I had come, he would have come with me and walked down a little further. Lin recalled. I think since he has been here before and has experience, it must be better than knowing nothing. That's why. It was such a coincidence. They were fine when they went down. Although it was a bit dark, there was no danger. When he saw the entrance to the cave, he actually didn't want to go in. But more than 100,000 people in the live broadcast room let him in. He didn't want to show his cowardice, thinking that he was so big and strong, his safety should be guaranteed. He thought about walking a little bit inside and finding an excuse to come out. As a result, he walked, and it was always safe. There were only stones and rocks. The various strange and rugged stalactites also opened his eyes. Gradually, the fear in his heart slowly subsided, and he was still thinking about what was at the end of the cave. When he found that his mobile phone had no signal, he realized that he must have gone too deep. When they walked back, they found that the passage was flooded. He could swim, but he could only swim about 50 meters in one breath. After they came in, they walked at least 1,000 meters, up and down, and he was not sure whether he was in a high position or a low position. He couldn't get out. There was no signal on his phone. Lin, who encountered this situation for the first time, was like a headless fly. Instead, Feng Chuan comforted him, saying that the fans would definitely call the police. Lin thought about it. That's right. Hundreds of thousands of people saw him disconnected, and they knew where he was, so someone should come to rescue them. He felt a little more at ease. The water continued to rise, and Feng Chuan suggested to keep walking forward. Maybe they could find another exit? Lin thought about it, and it was right. Instead of waiting to die, it would be better to find a way out by themselves. Soon, they saw the hole on the wall. Feng Chuan wanted to go in, but Lin didn't want to. The two argued for a few words. In the end, for some unknown reason, Feng Chuan was persuaded and took the main road. Then, Lin fell into the pit. Leave a message on the latest chapter of the public chapter to win a chance to win Kidian coins. My dears, remember to comment and participate in the lucky draw. I'm stuck on writing. This plot has been stuck for me for several days. It's my first time writing, and the plot and description are very difficult. I hope you don't find it too bad. The manuscript I saved with great difficulty a few days ago is gone. I have to start from the beginning. Drawing homework is also very time consuming. It has to be submitted on the 15th, and now is just the beginning. Come on, believe in yourself. I can do it. Fist. Those who have monthly tickets and recommendation tickets, please vote as much as possible so that I can also be ranked and get bonuses this month. Chapter 238 Square. Lin was in danger in this state of groping, and in the end only injured his ankle. He could only say that he was very lucky. I don't know how Feng Chuan is doing. Lin sighed. Although Feng Chuan didn't care about his life or death, which made him angry, he was rescued now, but he didn't know whether he was alive or dead. Although the two had known each other for a short time, he still didn't want him to get into trouble. Humph. He'd better be fine. When I get out, I must scold him severely. By the way, sister, how long has it been? Lin suddenly asked about the time. He had been in the dark since he fell down, and he couldn't move because of his injured ankle, so he lay there drowsy. It felt like time was infinitely extended, and he didn't know what day it was. It's the 5th day, and it's afternoon now. Lin Fan replied, you are lucky. You can hold on for so long alone. Yes, I saved my life this time, and I won't dare to do it again in the future. Lin felt a little embarrassed. You still know about feelings. Lin Fan complained in his heart, and continued to walk forward with the person in his arms. The passage not only became wider, but also more regular, square, and did not look like it was formed naturally. Except for the first section, which was flat. Lin Fan could feel that the road was tilting upward, but the slope was not large. This was also thanks to Xingqian's keen induction. The control console on the ground, the 3-dimensional map, based on Xingqian's positioning and mapping, is being updated in real time. The employees of the Special Affairs Office are quickly drawing with this route map and Xingqian's perspective map. A rough but clearly structured internal structure map of the cave is slowly unfolding as Xingqian moves forward. Zute, Xingqian is approaching the top of the mountain. The staff reminded. Zhu Ping naturally saw it. The instruments of the Special Affairs Office cannot penetrate the mountain and explore the internal structure, but it is still easy to mark the external structure of the mountain. Combined with Lin Fan's route map, she is now heading to the top of the next mountain. In this case, is it possible to go out directly from another mountain? Lin Fan, you are going up, do you know? Zooping opened the call. I know, I can feel it. What's wrong? Although the road has become wider, it feels like there is no end to it. If you keep walking like this, and it will make you feel uncomfortable. If you continue to move forward in the current direction, you will probably reach a point closer to the top of the mountain. Pay more attention to whether there are forks in the road, caves, or places to get out. Zooping reminded. Okay, I know. Lin Fan replied. She was thinking about whether to find something else to say to break the quiet atmosphere, and then she heard Luan speak again. Sister, what unit are you affiliated with? You look so handsome in this mecha. Is the black mecha your colleague? Were you there when we put out the fire last time? Sister, how old are you? Although it's not polite to ask a girl about her age, I hear you sound very young. Sister, what are the requirements for driving a mecha? Do you think I can do it? Sister. Lin Fan felt that life was like this, and most of the time it was not satisfactory. When it was quiet, I wanted to have sound, but when there was sound, I thought it was noisy. Luan seemed to have regained his spirit after a period of silence, and kept asking questions. Although Lin Fan didn't say a word, he still talked to himself. The chattering made the silent space more lively. Just when Lin Fan's tolerance was about to reach the limit, she found that she could not see the wall 50 meters ahead. She couldn't help but stop. Luan felt something unusual, closed his mouth and became serious. Zooping squinted his eyes and looked at the dark distance on the screen. The road ahead is gone. Pay attention. I know. Lin Fan continued to move forward after making psychological preparations. When he reached the end of the road, he saw that there was a very empty and huge space in front of him. The place where they stood was in a cave about 20 meters above the ground. Lin Fan took a quick look and jumped down lightly. I don't know what he stepped on when he landed, but I heard a crisp click. Looking down, it was a white piece, bone. Lin Fan widened his eyes in horror and turned his head slowly. He saw several white bones stacked against the wall behind him. And what she stepped on was probably someone's calf. Luan suddenly felt that the mecha sister who had been very stable jumped up and took several steps back. What's wrong? What's wrong? He hugged Xingqian's shoulders nervously. After seeing the scattered white, he breathed a sigh of relief. Hey, sister, are you still afraid of this? Nonsense, who isn't afraid? Lin Fan pursed his lips and dared to complain in his heart. Xingqian's face must not be lost. Can she be blamed for this? Who has seen these things? Except on TV. Isn't it normal to be afraid? It's abnormal not to be afraid. Doctors are amazing. He kept complaining in his heart, and at the same time, put the person on his arm to the ground unhappily. Hey, sister, don't be angry. Luan was suddenly put down, and he accidentally touched the injured foot, which hurt him. I apologize. I didn't mean it. Lin Fan ignored him, clasped his hands together, and bowed 3 times to the unlucky guy, whose bones were broken by her. She couldn't collect the bones, but she could still show some basic respect for the deceased. That Feng Chuang. Wu Yusen's voice suddenly came. What's wrong? Zooping asked immediately. Lin Fan, aim at the hole you just came down from. Wu Yusen said. The next second Lin Fan directly cut the strong light, illuminating the entire wall. The piles of bones on the ground, the hole more than 20 meters above, and the small protrusions on the wall were all illuminated. Ah. Zooping suddenly sighed, and directly ordered the staff next to him. Adjust Feng Chuang's information again. What's wrong? Lin Fan didn't understand. Since the strong light is on, you should scan the surrounding environment first to eliminate the danger. Wu Yusen didn't answer, but ordered instead. Lin Fan turned around obediently. As she moved, the originally dark space lit up little by little. While Zooping whistled. Lin Fan, slow down. My people don't have time to record. The space is more than 300 meters deep, and the middle is very flat, looking like a large square. Let her scan a circle first, and then look slowly. Wu Yusen said. When Zooping was talking, Lin Fan had already turned half a circle, so he simply listened to Wu Yusen, and turned a full circle. I'll go a little to the middle, so I can't get in the light from the front. Lin Fan picked up Luan, and asked him to pay attention, and avoid his eyes. When they reached the center of the venue, Lin Fan slowly turned his body again, letting the surveyors on the other side of the screen record it. Is this a square? Lin was held by Lin Fan and looked at the empty venue. Would a natural cast cave have such a flat space? Lin Fan was also puzzled. The ground was flat like a cement road. The surrounding walls were not smooth, but they were also very regular. The jagged and bumpy rocks that were common outside before seemed to have disappeared. Looking up, the top was a dome structure, high and smooth. The stalactites that are common on the top of limestone caves are not seen here. It is too unlikely to say that this is a flat open space with a hemispherical dome formed naturally. Moreover, Lin Fan saw a large piece of black material in the middle of the dome, which was different from the white limestone. A distance of more than 30 meters was not far for the stars. After she focused and looked again, she found that it was soil. Chapter 239 Discovering Fengchuang. Why is there soil on the top of the limestone cave? Not only is there soil, but there are also several roots hanging in the air. Zuping was very excited. Right above, is it possible that it was originally a cave, and later as vegetation grew, it was covered and filled with soil? Who knows? Lin Fan's current position is about 60 to 70 meters away from the top of the mountain. Wu Yusen began to calculate. Subtract about 30 meters from the cave itself. That means there is still about 40 meters of thickness on the top. If the top is really a cave entrance, and it is just filled with soil. Before Wu Yusen finished speaking, Zuping stood up. I'll go over and take a look. You guys, bring your digging tools and follow me. It's better to see it once than to guess 100 times. Zuping is a man of action. Lin Fan has no control over what is happening above. She suddenly thought of something else and looked down. Sure enough, there was also a thin layer of soil around where she was standing. It should have fallen from the top. Footprints. Luin's eyes followed the direction of the light and saw the footprints on the soil at a glance. Because of Xingqian's spinning, the ground under her feet has become blurred and can't be seen clearly. But there is a row of shallow footprints next to her that extend into the distance. Luin can even see the lines and the number 42 on it. It's Fengchuang. The footprints look very fresh. It's a bit far-fetched to say that they were left by the pile of dead bones by the wall. Unless there are other people here. There was no time to ask the surveyor to refine the details, and Lin Fan hurried forward in the direction of the footprints. Her mission was to save people. In addition, Xingqian was under time constraints. At this time, nothing was more important than saving people. Looking at his footprints, it seems that his legs and feet are not injured. Luin judged that the two footprints had the same strength and the stride was basically the same. That Fengchuang is quite amazing. He didn't get hurt, even after coming down from such a high place. Lin Fan said as he walked. Fitness coach Luin rolled down a slope more than 30 meters high and twisted his foot. Photographer Fengchuang came down from a 20-meter high, almost vertical wall with only some protrusions that were difficult to grab, and he was intact. Ah, you wanted to tell me just now? Lin Fan asked Wu Yusen, suddenly remembering the topic that was interrupted before. That's what you just thought of? After I saw the wall environment, I felt that Fengchuang's skills were very good. Wu Yusen looked at Fengchuang's files sent by other employees and found no problems. At least it seemed that there was no problem on the surface. As for that wall, I guess I might not be able to do it with my bare hands. Lin Fan measured her ability in her mind. The protrusions on the wall were not too close to each other. With her height, it would be difficult to reach them, even after stretching her limbs. There is a high probability that she will fall down. Of course, this is just talking about her own quality. Then she asked Wu Yusen again. Can you do it? I should be fine. Wu Yusen nodded. Such an environment is a piece of cake for him. But who is Wu Yusen? Song Ren, the former god of war of the special forces, admires him. He can do it, but it doesn't mean that others can do it. Lin Fan, who had fought to a draw with Song Ren, of course knew that their physical fitness was the result of long-term high-intensity training. So how could Fengchuang do it? Lin Fan's mind went around several times, and he had formed several guesses. But because Luin was still in front of him, it was difficult to speak. Be careful, Wu Yusen warned. With just these 3 words, Lin Fan had understood. Got it. Following Feng Chuang's footprints, Lin Fan soon entered a place similar to an alley. It was somewhat similar to the place they had just come out of. It was just that this entrance was directly on the ground, not like the cave entrance they came down from, hanging in the air. After walking a few hundred meters and passing a few turns, a T-shaped intersection appeared. How do I get out of this? Lin Fan asked Wu Yusen for help. Looking left and right, both sides seemed to be the same. I hate making a choice the most. Lin Fan thought. Just pick one and go. Wu Yusen couldn't give any good advice. There were straight stones above, below, left and right, and only the front and back were empty. The endless passage reminded Wu Yusen of a tomb passage. But most of the tomb passages are built with solid granite, and I have never seen one built with limestone. Lin Fan couldn't choose, so he simply stood at the fork in the road and silently chanted "Point the troops and generals." As a result, before he finished a long string of words, a boom sound came from the left. It was not a loud noise, but it was very obvious in the silent space. Luan was even frightened by the sound and trembled all over. Something happened. Lin Fan secretly said in his heart that it was not good. He floated directly and flew quickly in the alley. Luan was carried by her speed and stuck tightly to Xingqian's breastplate, and his hands unconsciously climbed her shoulder armor. It's not that he didn't want to hug her neck, but his hands were not long enough. The rumbling sound continued, and Lin Fan quickly found the place following the sound. I saw a person who was probably tied with a cold light lamp, and the surroundings were dizzy with a green ball. He was running desperately in the direction she came from, and behind him was a huge stone ball, which was pressing against his back and rolling forward. It's Feng Chuang. Luan glanced and shouted. Feng Chuang was suddenly blinded by the sudden bright light, and his eyes suddenly went dark. He just kept moving forward instinctively, but his speed was inevitably affected. He was about to be crushed by the ball. Luan was about to scream loudly when he felt himself sliding to the ground. Before he could react, the Mecha sister had flashed behind Feng Chuang, raised her arm, and blocked the stone ball that was close at hand. Luan's eyes widened. His heart was beating hard. Feng Chuang didn't notice it yet and was still running forward. It was unknown what the stone ball was made of, but Xingqian didn't need to use any strength to easily grab a handful of powder. Knowing that this thing was so fragile, Lin Fan was relieved. Rushing forward was just instinct, and she was actually not sure if she could handle it. Now that there was no threat, it was naturally the best. As soon as she let go, the stone ball that was originally still began to roll again. Lin Fan hurriedly blocked it, gathered strength in her arms, and gently pushed it. The huge stone ball instantly turned into powder and fell down. Suddenly, a black shadow shot out from the powder. Lin Fan didn't have time to react and subconsciously reached out to catch it. When he took it in front of him, he saw a dark green crystal-like object. The shape was quite regular, and Xingqian could just hold it in one hand. There is a sealed bag in the waterproof bag. Put it in quickly. Wu Yusen's tone was a little anxious. Usually, special affairs are more vigilant when dealing with unknown substances. If conditions permit, complete protective measures must be taken before contact to prevent harmful substances from being attached to the unknown objects. Although Xingqian's appearance is indestructible because of her unique biological properties, the Mecha will transmit all the external touches to Lin Fan. In other words, if there are harmful substances that Xingqian cannot resist, then the damage felt by Lin Fan is synchronized. But this time the accident came suddenly, and before he could speak, the thing was already in Lin Fan's hand. Now he can only make up for it quickly, hoping that this thing is harmless. Try to avoid those two people, and don't let them see it. Wu Yusen also specifically reminded. It seems that this place is definitely not as simple as a natural cave. Look for my friends. Now all the missing people are found. Chapter 240, Organ. Luan, who had been staring at the Mecha sister, could not say anything, except opening his mouth and letting out a sigh of wow when he saw the stone ball being shattered. At this time, Feng Chuang was still running desperately. By the way, this guy has enough physical strength. This thought suddenly emerged in Luan's mind, and then he shouted, "Don't run. It's okay." At this time, Lin Fan turned around and walked back. Under the illumination of the light, Feng Chuang saw a person standing on one leg who shouldn't be here. "Luan?" Feng Chuang was stunned and stopped. Is he dead? Is he hallucinating? How could Luan appear here? It's me. As Lin Fan approached, Luan saw that Feng Chuang's condition was not as good as he imagined. His clothes were tattered like a beggar. There was blood on his arms and legs, and he seemed to be injured. Although he was very unhappy, seeing that he could run so fast with injuries, Luan was still convinced. Looking at the backpack behind him, it was empty, and the supplies must have been eaten. If they don't come again, even if he escapes the stone ball crisis this time, he will not be able to hold on for long. Lin Fan quickly walked to Luan's side, deliberately keeping his head up, trying to focus the two's attention on the illuminated area. In a place where they can't see, she quickly pulled the waterproof bag and stuffed the things in her hand into the sealed bag inside. When she put the things away and picked them up together with the oxygen cylinder, Feng Chuang was still in a daze. Lin Fan didn't want to waste time, so she went forward and prepared to call for help. As a result, before she could get close, Feng Chuang jumped up. Yes, he jumped up, the kind that jumped 3 feet high. At the same time, he shouted in a shrill voice, "Ghost," and ran away. Lin Fan and Luan stood there for a few seconds, completely unaware of who scared Feng Chuang, until another strange sound came from the front. Lin Fan quickly picked up Luan and chased after him. Hope it's not another trap. After turning a corner, he saw a row of heavy and sharp sickles on the top of the alley ahead, sliding out from the wall, swinging left and right like a pendulum. Feng Chuang was already behind the second sickle, dodging it awkwardly. Although he rolled and crawled, it seemed that he would be pierced in the next second. But he always managed to avoid it in the last second. Of course, the price was also painful. His clothes, which were already tattered, were torn and had many bloodstains on the exposed skin. So is this person lucky or unlucky? Speaking of luck, who can encounter traps so frequently? At least Lin Fan didn't encounter any traps after walking in the alley for a while. On the contrary, after finding Feng Chuang, he encountered two in less than 5 minutes. Thinking back, before she found Luan, she vaguely heard a sound coming from the cave. Maybe he had triggered some mechanism. Looking at the scars on his body, some were still bleeding, and some of the blood had turned black and scabbed. Obviously, when Luan was lying in the pit and couldn't move, Feng Chuang had an extremely exciting experience. Lin Fan even suspected that he had opened almost all the mechanisms in the passage in the past few days. But if you say he is unlucky, he is still alive and kicking. Lin Fan glanced at Luan on his arm. This guy looks tall and big, like a calf, but in fact he is not as good as the photographer. Sister, hurry, hurry. Luan had no idea that his psychological impression on Lin Fan had slipped again. Seeing Feng Chuang's dangerous appearance, he stretched out his arms anxiously and slapped Xingqian's shoulder armor. Lin Fan wanted to save him directly at first, but seeing that Feng Chuang could avoid danger by himself, and it didn't seem very urgent, he wanted to see how far he could go. Anyway, with Xingqian's speed, even if there is an emergency, this 50-meter long sickle formation can be passed in the blink of an eye. Don't wait. Take him, and then return to the square just now. Wu Yusen watched from behind the screen for a while, and had an idea in mind. He was afraid that Feng would run around again after passing this level and cause trouble and waste time. Now that both of them have been found, the most important thing now is to get out quickly. Xingqian has been down for almost 3 hours, which has exceeded her stable standby time. It is still unknown how long she can last. Once Xingqian turns back to Lin Fan, she has almost no mission experience and has no advantage in the obviously complex environment and unidentified rescuers. When Luan felt that Lin Fan wanted to let him down again, he held onto the edge of her shoulder armor. Sister, don't let me down. This place is too dangerous. If something pops up again, I won't be able to run in time like this. Lin Fan thought about it, and it was right. Seeing Feng Chuang in front of him seemed to have some strength left, he moved Luan to the arm of the bag and held him with one hand, leaving the other hand free for easy handling. What is more shameful than a princess hug? It is that he is an adult, but is still held like a child. Luan was in a very complicated mood and didn't know what to say. He could only bite his lower lip in frustration. Forget it. In such a dangerous place, it is still safest in the arms of the Mecha sister. Saving people is important. Saving people is important. Lin Fan didn't care how Lin comforted himself in his heart. After she freed her hands, she strode forward. At the moment when Lin closed his eyes and shrank his neck in fear, she punched the first sickle. With a crisp sound of dang, Lin felt that the Mecha sister continued to move forward. He opened his eyes carefully, seeing that the sickle that made people feel very dangerous just now, the thick blade had been twisted beyond recognition and was directly nailed into the wall. Turning his head, he saw Xingqian throwing another punch. It was this light punch that bent the heavy and sharp sickle 90 degrees and stuck it in the ceiling. Although he had just seen a stone being crushed by hand, such a powerful little punch still made Lin swallow his saliva. Fortunately, this fist was not directed at me. He thought to himself, I must not offend my sister. This was his second thought. Just as he was thinking about it, Lin Fan walked forward, as if nothing had happened. Dang 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 dang, he broke all the sickles blocking the road, as easily as taking a walk. At this time, Feng Chuan was completely attracted by the sickle in front of him, and he didn't care about what was happening behind him. But the light from behind was getting brighter and brighter, and the footsteps were getting closer and closer. It was like there was a wolf in front and a tiger behind. Feng Chuan was panicking. Before he could think about it, Lin Fan had already walked behind him, stretched out his hand, and scrapped another mechanism. Feng Chuan turned sideways and saw Lin floating in the air under two bright lights. He wanted to hide with his eyes wide open, but there was nowhere to hide, so he just shrank and kept retreating to the wall. Don't. Seeing that he was retreating and was about to be hit by the next sickle, Lin Fan had to take 2 steps forward and throw a punch. Why are you running? I told you not to run. Lin was also angry when he saw Feng Chuan's unwillingness to cooperate. I was wrong. I shouldn't have abandoned you. I will burn paper for you and a villa for you later. Please forgive me. Feng Chuan had a sad face and was about to cry. Hey? Lin finally reacted. Do you think I'm dead? I'm sorry for you. Do you have any unfulfilled wishes? Feng Chuan was shaking like a sieve. Stop. Lin was already unhappy, and now his hands were itching even more. I'm still alive. What unlucky words are you saying? Ah. Feng Chuan was stunned. Lin in midair, although half of his face was turned sideways, only his head and shoulders could be seen, and his lower body was gone. There were still 2 nether fires on his head. Although this fire was much brighter than he imagined. But he had never seen it before, right? Who knows if the nether fire was originally this bright. Just like this, he was still alive. Sister, turn off the lights. Lin probably knew what the problem was. Sure enough, when Feng Chuan saw the stars in the green light, he didn't even bother to confirm Lin's true state. He widened his eyes, pointed at the stars, and opened his mouth. Mecha. He was so busy that he flew away. I painted until 1 o'clock yesterday and got up at 5 o'clock in the morning to continue. I paint after finishing housework and continue to do housework when I'm tired of painting. I wish I could divide myself into 8 petals. I chose a very complicated material ball. I wanted to give up yesterday, but then I thought, I haven't tried it before. Just because I think it's difficult, why should I give up? I gritted my teeth and painted. It wasn't until after 6 o'clock this evening that I finished it. Then I drew the punch in homework. I started writing at 8 o'clock, but I'm still stuck. Why is there only 24 hours in a day? Because I've been busy drawing these past 2 days and my stockpiled manuscripts have run out. It's past 10 o'clock at night now, and I've finally finished writing for tomorrow morning. I hope I can sleep well tonight. Starting tomorrow, I'll adjust my schedule and work hard to write. Come on, I can do it. Chapter 241, Fighting. As a photographer, Feng Chuan knew that it was not strange for him to know about mechas. After all, the picture of Jingang putting out the fire was popular all over the internet. No matter from the color, composition, conception, it was a good photo in all aspects. Feng Chuan had studied the photo repeatedly and was very familiar with the appearance and structure of Jingang. It would automatically appear in his mind when he closed his eyes. He was also a Mecha party, and he was more convinced than Lin. Regardless of any subsequent apology or no news, he firmly believed that this was a confidentiality measure that should be taken as a high-end weapon. but he did not expect to see a mecha suddenly in such an unexpected situation. His heart was pounding, and he could not tell whether it was because of the thrill, fear, or excitement just now. Feng Chuang? The mecha made a sound. Yes. Feng Chuang did not expect it to be a young female voice. He did not know why he felt a little disappointed. I was entrusted by the Bayan rescue team to save you. From now on, you have to listen to me and stop running around. Lin Fan quickly made it clear. Oh. Feng Chuang's mind seemed to have just come to its senses, and he looked at the giant man held in the mecha's chest and confirmed. So, you're really not dead? How can I die if you're not dead? Luan's anger, which had just been suppressed, rose again, and he said unhappily. But, Feng Chuang wanted to say more, but seeing Luan's expression of just try to say it again, he swallowed his words. That's right. Since no one is fine, there's no need to worry about whether it's reasonable or not. Feng Chuang shut up wisely and looked at the stars behind him. It's so beautiful. He rubbed his fingers itchily. Let's go out first. Seeing Feng Chuang obedient, Lin Fan turned around and walked back. In the headset, a colleague from the Special Affairs Office was pointing the way for her. Although she hadn't figured out where the complicated corridors inside led to, if she wanted to return to the square just now, she just had to go back the same way. Perhaps because he was out of the dangerous environment, his adrenaline secretion was reduced, and Feng Chuang gradually began to feel pain all over his body. He limped and tried to keep up, but his speed was still very slow. Why could Luan be held by the mecha without touching the ground? Obviously, his own injuries were more serious. Is it because Luan is young and handsome? Thinking that he is already in his 40s, and now he looks like a beggar. Feng Chuang looked at the back of Xingchen in front of him with envy and jealousy. The tall figure almost blocked the sturdy Luan. Only the top of his head could be seen above the shoulder armor, and there were occasional chattering and self-talking sounds. Lin Fan walked to the corner and subconsciously looked back. Feng Chuang was still far away, staggering like an old lady. It was hard to imagine that just now, he was running and jumping like a live fish. Feng Chuang? Seeing that he was so slow, Lin Fan didn't have the patience to stand there and wait. He walked back a few steps, grabbed him with his other arm, picked him up, and walked out quickly. Feng Chuang, who was still complaining just now, was still glaring at Luan opposite him. Are you okay? After all, he was the one who left the person behind, so Feng Chuang was concerned for no reason. Luan had thought of 100 ways to start with cursing, but when he saw Feng Chuang covered in blood, he couldn't say a word. He turned his head and looked forward, thinking that he didn't want to leave a bad impression of a shrew cursing on the street on the Mecha sister. Feng Chuang was bored, looked at Luan's arrogant profile, touched his nose, and looked forward. Not to mention, sitting like this is really comfortable. Zuping's voice came from the headset again. Hey, guess what I saw? He sounded in a good mood. What? Wu Yusen was too lazy to guess. A piece of vegetation with soil. Zuping had already reached the top of the cave just now. The area is not small. If it is connected to the bottom, people can be pulled up directly from here. My people are digging. That's great. Lin Fan smiled. If there is a passage, there is no need to search everywhere. The passages here are all similar. If it weren't for the manual navigation, she would not be able to tell which is which. What kind of place is this? It's about 30 to 40 meters thick. How long will it take you to dig? Wu Yusen was still thinking about the standby time of Xingchen. In fact, there are machines specially used for digging soil, but the place where Zuping went is the top of a steep cliff, and it is difficult for the machine to go up. If only Xingchen was not limited by time. Wu Yusen sighed secretly. I definitely can't save the time I should spend, but I've done it as quickly as possible. Zuping was pulling out the Luang shovel stuck in the soil. At least 20 meters below the surface is soil. 7 people digging a hole with a diameter of 60 to 70 centimeters together is not much slower. In the dust, several people shoveled the soil out quickly, and soon the pit was formed. It sank rapidly and visibly. For this mission, the Special Affairs Office did not dispatch many people. Except for the technicians and guards at the control console, Zuping brought everyone he could. Now, only John Woo is relatively free. But he has to watch Lin Fan and cannot leave. and the control console also needs someone to control it. Besides, even if John Woo comes, with more people digging, the speed will not be much faster. The place is so small that 7 people can hardly move around in a circle. There will be no place for John Woo to stand. It is estimated to take about an hour. The Surveying and Mapping Institute quickly reported the estimated data. 1 hour. John Woo was worried that Xingchen could not hold on for that long. Zuping had the same concern. Lin Fan, why don't you dig inside later? Digging on both sides should speed up the penetration. Okay. Lin Fan was not unhappy about it. She also wanted to get out of this winding cave as soon as possible. Luan heard Lin Fan talking from time to time and knew that she was still communicating with others. After looking at Feng Chuang opposite him indifferently, he asked with a smile, "Sister, you spent so much effort to save us. Will you charge money?" Feng Chuang turned his head to look at Xingchen when he heard this question. Although the Mecha has no mouth and its expression will not change, they still habitually face her face. "Will you?" Lin Fan asked Wu Yusen, and after getting the answer, he nodded to the two. "Yes. Didn't you say that the Bayan Rescue Team is a public welfare organization?" Before Luan asked the next question, Feng Chuang frowned and asked first, "Oh, they are a public welfare organization, so they don't need to spend money to rescue you? Manpower doesn't cost money? Machines don't cost money? Oil doesn't cost money? Time doesn't cost money? Why can't they charge money for saving people? Generating electricity for love, or out of kindness? Why? Because you are so shameless?" Lin Fan wanted to scold them a long time ago, but he never had the chance. Since his face was close to him, Lin Fan would naturally not be polite and just speak out. "Well, that's not what I mean." Feng Chuang didn't expect that this Mecha man would make a big splash. He was so embarrassed by the spray. "Humph." Lin Fan snorted coldly, "The Bayan Rescue Team doesn't charge money, but we do. It's 4 o'clock now, and I just finished writing. It's fresh, right? Continue to the next chapter." Chapter 242, Channel opened. Wu Yusen said, "We will charge a certain amount of fees to alert them. The dispatch of personnel from the Special Affairs Office is much more complicated than that of ordinary units, and of course, the effect is much better. Many problems that are difficult to solve in the conventional way will be assigned to the Special Affairs Office. At the same time, this is also an important reason why the Special Affairs Office has good treatment and benefits. In order to cover these tasks, the personnel loss rate is too high. Because of this, the people in the Special Affairs Office are openly united and protect their shortcomings, and other units dare not say anything. Not only because of the various strange skills of the members, but also for the large number of people who sacrificed their lives for the country and are buried underground in obscurity. In various security agencies, even if there are disputes between positions and some individuals dislike each other, no one dares to slander the contributions of the Special Affairs Office. Even Cui Yan, who is cold-hearted, can only use doing research on gods and ghosts to belittle the Special Affairs Office, and there is no more to say. In his opinion, transferring Lin Fan to 800 is to change her to a safer environment. Otherwise, according to the 10% annual depreciation rate of the Special Affairs Office, Lin Fan would be in trouble sooner or later. After all, no matter how powerful the Mecha is, it still needs to go on missions. And the higher the position, the heavier the responsibility. Lin Fan will never be as relaxed as when he was 800. The money of the Special Affairs Office is not so easy to get. Therefore, every time the Special Affairs Office goes on a mission, it will charge a certain fee more or less. The specific amount is decided by the person in charge of the mission. It can be charged according to the actual wear and tear, or it can be charged at will. It can be charged from the rescuer, or it can be charged from other individuals or units without letting the rescuer know. In short, charging for missions is almost an established process. But most of the time, it is for the purpose of warning or punishment, and they don't expect to really get money to make up for the expenses of their missions. Lin Fan didn't know these details, but Feng Chuang's words made her very unhappy, and she spoke with a vicious tone unconsciously. At first glance, I thought the fine was going to bankrupt people. This inevitably made Lu Feng, who were already feeling guilty, even more nervous. After Lin Fan finished her scolding, she felt that what she said was a bit inappropriate. Just as the two of them were silent, she also stopped talking and quickened her pace to hurry on. "I'm here." Lin Fan, who finally came out of the corridor, breathed a sigh of relief. The wide square made her perspective no longer narrow, and she felt much more at ease. She walked to the center of the square, looked at the cave ceiling filled with soil above her head, and gently put the two people on her arms down. Luan had experience and knew that she must have something to do, so he cooperated and jumped a few steps to the side. Feng Chuang didn't understand why and didn't dare to say a word. He followed Luan and moved a few steps out and sat on the ground. Lin Fan saw that the two of them had settled themselves without her saying anything and nodded secretly. She flew directly to the top and got closer to look at the top of the cave. I don't know if it was because they were in the air, but the soil on the top of the cave was not as tight as Lin Fan imagined, and he could easily grab it with his hands. Then again, with Xingqian's hardness and strength, no matter what she holds, it's no different from tofu. Should I just dig it? Lin Fan asked Zuping in advance, and after getting an affirmative reply, he opened his hands and took turns digging the soil and claws. The two people below relied on the cold light on Feng Chuang's body and only saw the soil falling from above. Luan was lucky, and he jumped a few steps to avoid it. Feng Chuang was sitting on the ground and was hit all over his head and face. He hurriedly crawled to Luan. Lin Fan dug below, and Zuping and others dug above. In less than 20 minutes, when a shovel was inserted into the soil, it felt like it hit a hard object. When it was lifted up, it was found that the tip of the shovel was directly rolled up. Lin Fan's voice also rang in Zuping's headset. "What just touched my hand?" "Surveying and mapping. Report coordinates." Zuping asked the control console first. After confirming that the two people's vertical coordinates were very close, he said to Lin Fan, "It should be our shovel. Lin Fan, you go down first." Although Xingqian can float steadily in the air, it is not an easy job to look up, raise his hands, and dig against the falling soil above for such a long time. When Lin Fan landed, Luan and Feng Chuang, who were sitting next to him, were shocked. The originally white mecha looked like it had been buried in the soil and just dug out, and it was so dirty that it was unbearable to look at. However, they watched the soil fall for so long, and such a result was also expected. Lin Fan walked to the two people in a few steps and moved his neck and shoulders vigorously. After a series of clicks, he finally felt alive. After a while, a voice came from the top, and soon, a searchlight was put in. "It's working." Lin Fan heard the voice in the headset and outside at the same time. Then a figure slid down the rope. It was Zuping. He was wearing night vision goggles. After coming down, he ran to Lin Fan first and looked at Xingqian carefully. "Are you okay?" "No problem." Lin Fan shook his head. "Can we go up?" "We have to wait a little longer. They will expand the passage a little bit," Zuping explained. Because it was dug at both ends, the passage was an X-shaped structure with large ends and a small middle. Zuping was worried about Lin Fan being alone down there, so he curled himself up and squeezed down by the soil. But in order to pull the injured ordinary people up smoothly, the passage needed to be processed again. After learning that Lin Fan was fine, Zuping turned his attention to the two people sitting next to him. "Just these two guys?" Zuping snorted with a bad taste and asked, "How much money do you have in your bank account?" Luan's first reaction was to think about the balance in his card. Feng Chuang was stunned for a moment and asked, "Why are you asking about the money?" Seeing that the attention of the two people was drawn by him, he shook his head and sighed. "Forget it. Don't think about it. Anyway, no matter how much, it's not enough to compensate." Lin Fan laughed secretly. This guy must be deceiving people. Sure enough, Luan and Feng were scared by this sentence. Feng Chuang instinctively wanted to refute, but seeing the silent mecha next to him, he finally shut up. After waiting for a while, the passage was expanded. It was about 60 centimeters in diameter. Although it was not big, it was enough for one person to pass through. "Okay, let's go," Zuping said when he saw another rope being lowered from above. Seeing Luan hopping forward, he glanced at his feet and went forward to support him. Luan was stunned for a moment, then looked at the mecha sister next to him. "What? You want me to hold you like a princess?" Zuping's smile was not kind at all. They saw from the screen that this guy was carried all the way, and it was too comfortable. No, no, no. Lin refused again and again. Being held like a princess by the Mecha sister would be fine, but being held like a princess by such a rough man. Thinking of that scene, Lin felt a chill, and felt that Zuping's hand holding him was hot. Lin jumped very fast, as if something terrible was crushing him from behind. Seeing this, Feng Chuan could only get up and limp away. Lin Fan was no longer in a hurry at this time, and slowly followed behind. Soon, the two were hoisted up one by one. What should we do if they see me? Lin Fan asked when he saw the figure disappear. Don't worry, the psychologist will clean up the mess. Wu Yusen's voice came from the headset, but his face appeared at the entrance of the cave. Hey, you're here. Zuping seemed to have known it for a long time, and his greeting was not at all sincere. In addition to Jinsei, there are many psychologists in the Special Affairs Office. Every time there is a large-scale collective mission like this, one will be assigned to the team just in case. Seeing that the matter was over, Lin Fan directly lifted the star state. As a result, all the soil that originally covered the Mecha fell on her body, and a cloud of dust was raised, covering Zuping next to her. The two covered their mouths and noses in time, and did not get choked. But after the dust cleared, looking at each other who were dirty, both of them couldn't help laughing. The laughter came from the passage, adding a little joy to the quiet night. There are foreshadowings in these chapters. Have you found them all? Chapter 243 Test. Lin Fan held the towel wrapped around her head with both hands, and trotted to the passenger seat. Wu Yusen started the car when she saw her sitting down. Lin Fan was stunned, as if she didn't see Zuping. She leaned over to look at the backseat and asked, "Is Zuping not going with us?" When the two came up, they looked like they had rolled in the mud, and they were dirty everywhere. The conditions of the tent here are limited, so Lin Fan can only clean her face and hands. No matter how she shakes her hair, it is still dusty, so she simply wraps it with a towel and waits for the shower. Fortunately, her combat uniform protects her body. After changing clothes, she is basically a clean person. It was already dark, and Lin Fan's mission was successfully completed. She should have rested before leaving, but Wu Yusen still remembered Lin Fan's obsessive-compulsive nature. While she was changing clothes, he asked Zuping for a car and waited outside. When Lin Fan came out, he took her luggage and said he would take her to the city to take a shower. Lin Fan thought that both she and Zuping were going, but now it seems that only she was treated preferentially. He is the person in charge, he can't leave. Wu Yusen turned the steering wheel smoothly, and the car quickly moved away from the tent area. Oh, then he will be busy. Lin Fan looked at the lights in the rear view mirror and silently wished Zuping well. Yeah. I thought that after saving people, I would just erase the memories of Xingqian. I didn't expect to find an underground palace. Wu Yusen smiled and shook his head, and those two explorers of unknown attributes. Based on his experience, Zuping might not be able to rest during the new year. Is that an underground palace? Lin Fan thought of the neat hours before, and suddenly said in surprise, is it a tomb? Most people would still turn pale when encountering such special places. That's not necessarily the case. Wu Yusen denied calmly. There were people who dug stones to live in the past, and with the large amount of limestone in the mountain, the possibility of a tomb is not that great. It is more likely to be the remains of the cave dwellers in the past. Oh. Lin Fan breathed a sigh of relief. It's good that it's not a tomb. Her hair stood up just now. Seeing her startled, Wu Yusen couldn't help but think of the newcomers who had just joined the Special Affairs Office, and asked with a smile, how was it? Did you feel okay with this mission? Lin Fan thought about it, and it seemed that there was nothing difficult. Not bad. What do you think? As a newcomer, the speed and quality of your first independent mission are very good. Wu Yusen praised first. If it weren't for Lin Fan's joining, according to the normal progress, Zuping would have just entered not long ago, and at most he could find Lin in the pit. Feng Chuang didn't even think about it, let alone those mechanisms. Hey, that's all Xingqian's ability, it has nothing to do with me. Lin Fan waved his hand, not greedy for credit. But there are problems. Wu Yusen quickly glanced at the rear view mirror, and seeing that Lin Fan didn't look unhappy, he continued. First of all, there are obvious problems with your psychological quality. Lin Fan crossed her arms and listened to Wu Yusen quietly. She also realized that her psychological quality was not enough to deal with emergencies, which was completely disproportionate to Xingqian's strong strength. But this can be trained through more tasks in the later stage, so it's not a big problem. Wu Yusen felt that it was a surprise that Lin Fan could achieve this point today. After all, she had always been an ordinary person before. Although she had broadened her horizons a lot in 800, her crisis response was probably only the previous assassination incident. In fact, she didn't handle that incident very well, and she almost killed herself. Although it turned out to be a blessing in disguise and upgraded Xingqian later. But it still directly reflects that Lin Fan's crisis handling ability is seriously lacking. This is why Zhu Kunjin must let Lin Fan come back. Only by facing the crisis and constantly honing it can Lin Fan really grow. And 800 is too comfortable. Of course, no one expected the appearance of Green Turtle. But it can wake everyone up from the blind confidence of Xingqian is invincible, recognize their own shortcomings, and spur them to continue to work hard. Green Turtle can be regarded as playing a positive role. There are still some places where we didn't observe carefully enough. For example, we should have gone down to explore the pit where Luan was found before moving forward. Wu Yusen said again, but in general, the flaws do not outweigh the merits. Anything else? Seeing that he stopped talking, Lin Fan turned his head to look over. What? Do you think you are so bad? Wu Yusen smiled. With your performance today, you can beat everyone in the special affairs office. This was not a consolation. You know, the scene where Lin Fan fell down the mountain easily and rushed down into the darkness with his head down. He still felt scared when he thought about it. How could he be so cool? It was like playing. He didn't know that this was a fixed reflex formed when Lin Fan was practicing parachuting. It was also thanks to Song Ren's strictness and countless times of ruthless training that Lin Fan became what he is today. By the way, since you want to achieve self-improvement, why don't I test you? Wu Yusen glanced at her. Although he was not angry, he was not happy either. Let's change the subject quickly, you say. Sure enough, Lin Fan's attention was successfully diverted. The two people below, Luan and Feng Chuang, did you feel anything unusual after contacting them? Wu Yusen seemed to be deliberately testing him. Lin Fan recalled for a moment and said uncertainly, as for Feng Chuang, I feel that his physical fitness and luck are a little too good. What else? Wu Yusen asked. What else? Lin Fan recalled for a while. No more. Isn't there something wrong with him? Seeing that Wu Yusen was still smiling and looked unspeakable, Lin Fan asked doubtfully, could it be that Luan has a problem? Wu Yusen saw that Lin Fan had started to guess randomly and threw a sentence in her expectant eyes. Think about it carefully. It's not that Wu Yusen likes to torment people. These people will face all kinds of complicated situations in the future. Learning to think independently is a very necessary and important skill. The reason why he didn't say it directly was to guide Lin Fan's behavior pattern of independent thinking. You have to know that Lin Fan's position in the Special Affairs Office is the director. Although he is currently just a bare director, with the strength of Xingqian, he will be worthy of the title sooner or later after accumulating some mission experience. Therefore, John Woo tried his best to let Lin Fan think and judge for herself. Whether the result is right or wrong, it is much more profound than if he directly tells her the answer, and it can better achieve the purpose of rapid training. Okay. Lin Fan agreed readily. She knew that this was just a test question, and Zuping did not need to wait for her result to act, so he was not in a hurry. When she was free, she would think about it carefully. Not long after, the car drove into the city. The special agency is not short of money. John Woo found a hotel of good quality nearby and settled Lin Fan. When Lin Fan finished taking a shower and had dinner with John Woo in the restaurant, she told him the result of her careful thinking and looked at him expectantly. As a result, John Woo smiled and said the final answer. Seeing Lin Fan open his eyes in disbelief, his expression gradually dulled. Senior Wu sighed in his heart. Newcomers are naive. Today, all the typos found in all the previous chapters have been corrected. The update is late 555. Why are you so busy? Remember to vote for me, both monthly tickets and recommendation tickets. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 244, Luin's Doubts. So both of them have problems? After the initial shock, Lin Fan finally reacted, but she still didn't understand. I think it's reasonable that Feng Chuang has problems, but what about Luin? Lin Fan never thought that Luin would have problems. Not long after she went in, she found Luin in the pit. Because his foot was injured, he was always carried by Xingqian. Except for sometimes talking too much, there was no problem with him. Lin Fan looked at Wu Yusen inquiringly, seeking an answer. See, experience comes into play at this time. Wu Yusen boasted a little proudly, and stuffed a mouthful of meat into his mouth. From your point of view, Luin has no problem, but from our point of view, he is full of holes. Tell me about it. Lin Fan didn't eat her meal, put her chopsticks on the table, and prepared to listen to the lecture. The most obvious question is, how could an internet celebrity who can achieve 2 million fans and is a doctor come to such a place to explore with strangers? Becoming an internet celebrity may require luck, but a big V like Luin has been famous for almost half a year with fitness videos and has been on many TV shows. It is not an exaggeration to say that everyone knows him. Moreover, after 2 years of being out of fashion, he still has 2 million fans. This is definitely not a result that a brainless person can get by luck alone. So the reason why he and Feng Chuang appeared here is very strange. But he also explained that he was fulfilling his promise to the fans. Lin Fan remembered that when Luin said it at the time, he was very reluctant. There are countless ways to solve this matter, but he chose this one and pushed the responsibility to the fans. Wu Yusen sneered and shook his head. How do you know that he didn't deliberately induce it and get a reason to let it go? Is the world of you adults so complicated? Lin Fan felt that he was not on the same level as Wu Yusen. They clearly heard the same sentence, but they thought completely differently. You didn't expect it because you ignored his previous work. Wu Yusen chuckled and continued to eat. His previous job? Doctor? What's wrong? Lin Fan felt that his IQ was starting to get anxious. How can I improve my IQ quickly? Urgent. Waiting online. Luin graduated from Union Medical College. Seeing that Lin Fan did not respond, Wu Yusen immediately added, this is the best medical school in the country. To be able to get into such a school, Luin's IQ is not low. Is his IQ not low? Why didn't I feel it? When Lin Fan heard about IQ, he thought of GU the first time. Luin is far behind GU. Not to mention GU, he is not even as good as Li Chunhe. Oh. How bad can an IQ be for someone who can be a doctor? At least it's above average. Wu Yusen sneered. He got a very high score in the college entrance examination that year, and he could choose any school at will. In short, there is no doubt that he has a high IQ. Lin Fan nodded. The brains of academic masters are not simple. You can't reach that level just by hard work. Then why is he? Lin Fan wanted to ask why she pretended to be stupid, but thinking about it again, it seemed that she felt that he talked too much and had a preconceived idea that he was not smart. Hiss. He is deliberately guiding me? She took a breath, as if she had tasted something, and asked in disbelief. But why? Wu Yusen nodded. Well, why? If he is an ordinary person with no problems, why would he deliberately guide you and make you think he is not smart? Because smart people can't do this. Lin Fan was stunned as he spoke. Yes, this is a problem with logic. Playing dumb can make this matter reasonable, which is what we often say, logical self-consistency. Wu Yusen smiled and nodded. Lin Fan frowned. Then why did he do this? Well, good question. Wu Yusen picked up another piece of pineapple. We also want to know the answer to this question. While Lin Fan was taking a shower, Wu Yusen talked to Zhu Ping and confirmed their previous guess. But it was not easy to expand further. Isn't there a hypnotist? Lin Fan still remembered that Jin Sichen had hypnotized Wu Yusen. That went smoothly, and he answered whatever he asked. Different people need different levels of hypnosis. The hypnotist who came this time is prepared for ordinary people. I didn't expect to encounter such a special situation. Wu Yusen sighed and didn't want to eat anymore. He put down his chopsticks and leaned back in his chair to continue. Our hypnotist disguised himself as a clerk in charge of the inquiry. He wanted to get some information from Xingchen and hypnotize him at the same time. There is no problem with hypnosis. Just cover Xingchen's information directly, but the inquiry is not so smooth. What's wrong? Is questioning more difficult than hypnosis? If it's just ordinary questions, of course it's not difficult. But if it involves the information he wants to conceal, it will arouse their vigilance. It's naturally not that easy to get information without making a sound. Wu Yusen shook his head slowly. Can't let them find out. Lin Fan didn't understand. Didn't they catch the person? Why are they still worried? We still have to wait for them to reveal the person behind the scenes. We can't let the line break here. As soon as Wu Yusen said it, Lin Fan understood. There must be something wrong with the person, but it is still unknown what they are going to do and who is instructing them. And the psychologist discovered that there were locked parts in the two people's memories during the test, so there must be a hypnotist involved. Wu Yusen continued, once we want to go deeper, unless the level is higher than the other hypnotist, there will definitely be trouble. At the least, we will be exposed, and at the worst, these two people will be useless. Wu Yusen sighed and concluded, anyway, they haven't made a big noise yet, so we will keep an eye on them, and wait for the black hand behind them to surface. Hearing this, Lin Fan finally understood. This is to lay a long line, to catch a big fish. What about later? Lin Fan went back to the original question. Are there any flaws in Luan's later that I should have discovered but didn't? Do you remember when you jumped down from the hole in the wall and stepped on the bones? Wu Yusen said he was hungry and started eating again. Lin Fan nodded. It was her first time to come into close contact with bones, and she was scared. Then do you remember Luan's reaction? Wu Yusen smiled and raised his chin. He laughed at me. But he is a doctor. Isn't it normal for him not to be afraid of bones? Lin Fan asked. It's okay that he's not scared, but it's weird that he suddenly saw a pile of bones. He's a doctor. Wu Yusen shook his head and sighed. Seeing that Lin Fan didn't quite understand, he said again, when you saw the pile of bones, why were you only scared and not curious? How could there be human bones here? Didn't you say that many people went down there and disappeared? I guess it was those people. But I was so scared at the time that I forgot to ask. Lin Fan scratched his chin embarrassedly. But why isn't Luan surprised? He's not scared. Wu Yusen asked with narrowed eyes. Did he know there were bones here a long time ago? Or can he remain calm when he sees bones anywhere, just like seeing flowers and plants? Well, the secret is revealed. Did you guess it right? Chapter 245. Lin Fan was deceived. If Wu Yusen hadn't said it, Lin Fan wouldn't have thought so. Once he said it, Lin Fan thought more and more that it was right. Even if he was a doctor, how could he not ask a single question when he suddenly saw so many bones? I didn't think so at the time, but now I think about it, it's really strange. Anything else? Lin Fan felt that today's task was completed smoothly, and she was still a little complacent in her heart. But she didn't expect that she had overlooked so many things. The joy in her heart sank a little bit. Wu Yusen saw it, but she still had to say what she had to say. There is another obvious logical point that you overlooked. According to Luan, Feng Chuan ran away after he fell and did not save him. It can be said that he did not save him and put him to death, right? Lin Fan nodded. He kept scolding him before, and I thought the two would fight when they met. Oh, right. They didn't talk much afterwards. Do you remember what Feng Chuan's reaction was when he saw Luan? He stayed there for a long time, then shouted ghost and ran away. Later, when you approached him and the mechanism, Feng Chuan also mistakenly thought that Luan was not alive, right? Yes, after I changed the light, he noticed the stars, and then confirmed that Luan was still alive. Lin Fan's memory is getting better and better now, and it is easy to recall the previous process. Well, so we have now confirmed that Feng Chuan is problematic, and you have also confirmed his skills with your own eyes. What kind of possibility would make such a strong Feng Chuan mistakenly think that Luan is dead? Wu Yusen asked, knocking on the edge of the bowl with chopsticks. This? Lin Fan couldn't think of it. You probably didn't notice that Feng Chuang looked incredulous when he confirmed that Luan was still alive. Although Xingqian switched the green light at that time, Feng Chuang was right in front of her, so the whole person was photographed very clearly. Why did Feng Chuang think it was impossible for Luan to be alive? Wu Yusen continued to ask. Did he kill him? Lin Fan suggested a possibility. That's not necessarily the case. If Feng Chuang really did it at that time, it would be terrible for Luan to be so patient. Wu Yusen didn't think that a young man in his 20s, who could resign for the sake of others' disputes, would be able to endure the revenge of killing himself. Why is that? If he didn't do it himself, why did he think Luan couldn't be alive? You may not have noticed in the previous live video that Luan didn't have a backpack on his body in order to look good on camera. So the bag should be carried by Feng Chuang, the photographer. So, Feng Chuang was carrying a backpack. Lin Fan saw it. What was there to say? So, how did Luan, who didn't have any supplies, spend these 4 days at the bottom of the pit? Wu Yusen threw a fatal blow. Lin Fan opened her mouth slightly. How could she have thought of this? Then what did he say? Lin Fan asked Luan. Should Zhu Ping have asked? Yes. He said he had a small water bottle on his back at first, but threw it away after he finished drinking. The camera can prove this. Then the water ran out, and the camera ran out of power. He said he survived by drinking his own urine until you came. That's not a problem. Lin Fan frowned slightly. She had also watched wilderness survival programs, and this was a routine operation. Then when you saw him, his clothes. Wu Yusen guided. Lin Fan's memory went back quickly like a movie, back to when she just got to the bottom of the pit. In order to avoid Luan's eyes, she looked elsewhere. When she scanned Luan's body, the clothes seemed to be. It's fine. Lin Fan's face suddenly sank. Luan's clothes were not neat, but they were definitely buttoned. Given Luan's situation at the time, if he really saved himself as he said, it would be impossible for him to button his clothes in the dark and wait for Xingqian to save him. After all, he was so weak that only his eyeballs could move. The reason why Feng Chuang was sure that Luan was dead was probably because he had all the food on him. Ordinary people would definitely die after 4 days if they rolled down a deep pit without food and water. This is a limestone cave, and there won't be any animals or plants. Wu Yusen crossed his legs and supported the back of the chair next to him. Then Luan lead. Lin Fan felt a little uncomfortable. She accepted all these words. Don't be sad. He lied a lot, not just this one. Wu Yusen smiled and comforted. But looking at Lin Fan's expression, she seemed to be even sadder. Aha. Wu Yusen realized that he had said the wrong thing and quickly cleared his throat. There is another obvious place that you didn't notice. What? Lin Fan is now like a dejected rooster, withered, aggrieved and uncomfortable. Although Luan and Feng Chuang didn't have a conflict, the two kept their distance at the beginning and ignored each other. Yes. Lin Fan thought about it, and it was indeed the case. Then think about it again. After you dug the tunnel and came down, where were the two of them? Lin Fan searched in his mind again. They sat together. When I went up, the two of them were at least 4 or 5 meters apart. Lin Fan gritted his teeth and looked up at Wu Yusen. I didn't even notice that they were sitting together. Actually, it's not Lin Fan's fault. She didn't realize that there was anything wrong with the two of them at the time. At most, she felt that Feng Chuang's skills were too good, but she didn't think much about it. After Wu Yusen's guidance, she realized that she had overlooked too many things. Fortunately, they were watching and didn't really let her do the task independently. Otherwise, all these problems would be ignored by her, and it would delay the big things. Lin Fan felt a surge of fear in her heart. It's okay. It's always like this the first time. It will be fine in the future. Come on. Come on. Eat some more. You can't eat so little. Wu Yusen was not so good at comforting people, and simply put food into Lin Fan's bowl. Lin Fan picked up the chopsticks with mixed feelings, picked up a few dishes listlessly, and stuffed them into his mouth. What about Feng Chuang? Luan has so many problems. Feng Chuang's problems won't be even bigger, right? Feng Chuang doesn't have too many problems, except that he has been hiding his skills. But as a photographer, he has such good skills, and he has to hide them deliberately, which is a problem in itself. Wu Yusen replied. Are these two people in the same group? Lin Fan asked again. I don't know. But we speculate that these two people should belong to different forces. So when Luan fell into the pit, Feng Chuan could abandon him without hesitation. Wu Yusen saw that Lin Fan started to eat, and he fed him more actively. As for the later, they should have reached some kind of agreement while you were digging the soil up there. They may have known each other's identities at this last moment. What a pity. At that time, Xingchen was digging the soil on the top, and the camera was only shooting soil, and he had no idea what the two people below said. Then don't we still know nothing now? Lin Fan said dejectedly. If we replace them with a higher level psychologist, can we get them to say something without alerting them? Seeing Wu Yusen's interested look, he hesitated for a moment, but still insisted on finishing his words. For example, Jin Sichen, when you encounter difficulties, find Sichen. Wow, hahaha, it's worthy of the friendship that has been with you for more than a year. By the way, do you know that you can participate in the lottery by commenting in the Easter egg chapter of the public chapter? I see no one responded. I even wrote a chapter specially. Don't you need coins? Just write something to get some coins for free. I even left a message myself. Haha. Chapter 246 Return to the Special Affairs Office. We don't need Jin Sichen. A psychologist with a higher level will do. Wu Yusen smiled, but at present, calming the situation is more important than finding the mastermind behind the scenes. As soon as the people were rescued, the authorities released the news and a short video online, clearly but vaguely photographing Luanfeng. The noisy public opinion finally settled. Most people were grateful for the safety of the two people, and many thanked the rescuers. Even if there were still some unkind remarks, they were extremely isolated phenomena and would not cause any big waves. According to what Zhu Ping had learned so far, the two people had not caused it a critical situation, so there was no need to rush to expose their past. On the contrary, if they were accidentally exposed and aroused the vigilance of the other forces, they would not be so lucky to find such two good baits so easily. Lin Fan nodded, indicating that he understood. The Special Affairs Office must have its reasons for doing things. Compared with newcomers like himself, Zhu Ping and his team had much more experience. Besides, do you think Jin Sichen can be easily called? Seeing Lin Fan's confused look, Wu Yusen shook his head. He is a very difficult person to invite. It is not easy to invite him. Only the director can have this face. Jin Sichen himself is an international top psychologist. His professional skills in the field of psychology can be called a big boss. In addition, his unique talent has created his picky style of behavior. He doesn't even bother to give a glance to people and things that he is not interested in. Jin Sichen, who grew up in an orphanage, is actually very cold in his bones. It's just that many people are deceived by the fake smile on his face and think he is a gentle person. Ah. Lin Fan was surprised. She knew that Jin Sichen loved to fake smile, but was he so difficult to invite? It seemed that he was always easygoing. I have never seen him do a task for so long, and it's all because of you. Wu Yusen smiled. Jin Sichen's interest in Lin Fan began with the frustration of his talent, and the appearance of Xingchen in the later period completely mobilized his interest, and letting Jin Sichen do it is a waste of talent. It's like using a 40-meter long sword to kill a chicken. Ha ha ha. Lin Fan laughed out loud because of this vivid metaphor. Jin Sichen is amazing, but if he is asked to do everything, he must have died of overwork a long time ago. Wu Yusen continued to put food into Lin Fan's bowl. He is so inspiring. He escaped from hardship and reached the peak of his life. Is it just to tire himself to death? Lin Fan thought about it and realized that this was the truth. He has reached the top level. How can he come down so easily? It's really my honor. I know you must be thinking of the hypnosis he used on me before. Wu Yusen saw the person opposite nod and said to himself, as expected. That's also because I cooperated with him and had no psychological resistance, so it was so easy. Otherwise, Wu Yusen wanted to brag, but seeing Lin Fan staring at him seriously, he touched his nose and didn't dare to brag. Anyway, it won't be as easy as you saw before. You mean, it's more difficult to psychologically influence people who have undergone special training? Lin Fan remembered that when Jin Sichin played tricks on a few people, Song Ren fell to the ground later than others, and he was caught off guard. Presumably, there should be a connection. That's for sure. Wu Yusen said seriously. In the special operations team, there is relevant training, anti-hypnosis, anti-induced confession, and some other special training, including anti-toxicity, etc., are all to strengthen the relevant resistance. Lin Fan nodded. This is similar to the desensitization experiment, which is strengthened little by little until it adapts. Don't be misled by what happened last time. Wu Yusen quickly clarified, leaving Jin Sichin aside. Other psychologists can't easily hypnotize us when we are on guard. Even if Jin Sichin doesn't use his talent, he may not be able to hypnotize me. Talent is extremely terrifying. Fortunately, the Special Affairs Office recruited Jin Sichin in time, otherwise they would stand on the opposite side sooner or later. So, it is not recommended to continue hypnotizing Luan and Feng Chuang to get information now, in order to prevent them from discovering our temptation and causing trouble, as they have received training in this area. Wu Yusen concluded. Anyway, let's not worry about the follow-up of this matter. Zuping will take care of it. Lin Fan nodded obediently. His worries were put down, and his appetite came back. He picked up the chopsticks and ate big mouthfuls. He had a good rest in the hotel for one night. The next day, the two drove to the airport. The Special Affairs Office had already booked the tickets, leaving Lin Fan no chance to be a local tyrant. The seats in the economy class were very crowded, and the service of the flight attendants was not as good as that in the first class. But for Lin Fan now, it was no big deal. Thanks to Jin Sichin's help, she felt that she was now a normal person. As long as there were no extreme incidents, her current state was enough to cope with ordinary daily life. Well, of course, this is only about the psychological aspect. Physically, Lin Fan herself was not sure whether she was a normal person. The plane landed smoothly. Wu Yusen helped Lin Fan carry her luggage bag and took her to the subway. The Special Affairs Office had a car. The reason why they didn't send a car was not because they didn't value Lin Fan, but because Gaya was a place where taking the subway was usually much more convenient and faster than driving. Lin Fan had been in Gaya for a few years and knew its traffic conditions well. Without objection, she followed Wu Yusen into the subway. After several changes of lines, the two came out of the subway station and got on a car parked on the side of the road. This is the nearest subway station to our office. If you take a car from here, the traffic jam won't last long. You can also take a break by the way, Wu Yusen said, and close the car door. Lin Fan leaned back in the seat and watched the car slide out, and she breathed a sigh of relief. Along the way, she felt a little tired. Except for sitting all the time on the plane, she almost walked the rest of the time. I don't know if it was because she didn't replenish enough yesterday, or it was psychologically affected. Anyway, she can sit and rest for a while now, which makes her feel relaxed. Are you tired? Wu Yusen asked with a smile. It will be fine when we get home. The home he was talking about was the Special Affairs Office. The people in the Special Affairs Office have a strong sense of belonging. It is very rare for them to identify with their work unit from the bottom of their hearts and regard the unit as their home. After Lin Fan learned about it, she became more curious about the Special Affairs Office. When she saw the amount in the salary card, she felt that the Special Affairs Office treated its employees very well. But now it seems that her thinking was too one-sided. The good thing about the Special Affairs Office is not just the generous welfare benefits, there should be other things. But she is not in a hurry. There will be many opportunities to experience it slowly in the future. This is. Lin Fan watched the car leave the parking lot, turn a few corners, and enter a special passage. She said to Wu Yusen, when you sent me to 800, it seemed that you took this road. Yes. Wu Yusen explained with a smile. This is the special passage of the Special Affairs Office. It is hidden in the parking lot of the shopping mall. But ordinary people can't find this passage and can't get in. Under the shopping mall? Lin Fan didn't expect it. She thought that an institution like the Special Affairs Office would either be hidden under a unit like Ririhan with its own Oran courtyard, or in a remote and deserted place. Unexpectedly, it was under the shopping mall. This is really a hidden gem in the city. That's right. The mall has a large flow of people. The Special Affairs Office personnel will not attract attention when they enter and exit, Wu Yusen explained. Then no one has entered by mistake. Lin Fan had memorized the way to the special passage after reading it once. There are so many cars in the mall, it is inevitable that some cars will follow the cars of the Special Affairs Office. It is not surprising to enter the Special Affairs Office passage by mistake, right? There are sleight of hand and array at the entrance of the passage. You can't get in without the key of the Special Affairs Office. Is it a magic weapon? Since he mentioned the array, Lin Fan naturally thought of the magic weapon. I don't know what kind of key it is. It's not a magic weapon. Wu Yusen smiled and shook his head. Come to think of it, you have one too. What? Lin Fan asked in surprise. Work permit. I was going to save another chapter after coding tomorrow's update today. But when I changed the filter of the kitchen water purifier, I found that the water pipe was leaking. When I changed the water pipe, the joint broke in the faucet. So I bought another faucet to change it. I finally replaced the faucet and tightened the pipe. The previous water purifier joint was stripped and leaking again. I have a painting class at 8 o'clock. It's 7:50 now, and the class will last until 11 o'clock. Why am I so busy? Fortunately, I don't have to worry about updating tomorrow morning. Come on tomorrow. Everyone, please leave a comment on the welfare chapter. There will be a lottery during the event. It's a waste if you don't draw. If you are lucky, you can win 66 coins. Chapter 247 3 Life-Saving Set. Lin Fan took out his black book from his small bag. He didn't expect that something that looked insignificant could have such a magical effect. In addition to the work card, our transportation equipment also has a pass key. If you buy a car in the future, remember to register it with the equipment department, and someone will install it for your car. Wu Yusen smiled as he watched Lin Fan open his work card and continued. In fact, key is just a convenient way of saying it. In addition to the entry and exit function, it also has a positioning function that is not often used. It just needs to be within a certain distance and must be operated by a dedicated person. Isn't that GPS? Lin Fan looked up at Wu Yusen. The function is similar, but the positioning function on our key does not transmit signals through satellites. As for the specific working principle, I don't really know. Wu Yusen smiled. Now mobile phones can locate it, which is convenient and fast. The positioning function in the key is usually not used because of the distance and technical limitations. It is just kept in case. Lin Fan nodded and lowered his head to take out the card in the work card. Are these all keys? There were 2 paper cards in the leather book, one with her photo and work number printed on it, and the other with information such as her position and the official seal. I don't know what special craftsmanship was used. It has a faint golden color and looks quite classy. There is also a hard card similar to an ID card, with all her information and photos on one side, and the badge of the special office on the other side. Speaking of which, since the information on the hard card is complete, why do we need 2 more paper cards? She thought so in her heart and asked so. Wu Yusen grinned and laughed even more happily. He leaned over and pointed at the hard card and said, the key is in this card, and the location is also here. But the other things are not just for show. This one, he pointed to the card with the headshot, printed on it and said, is an emergency help card. When you encounter a life and death or emergency situation, tear open this card and you can instantly send a distress signal to your family. This signal will last for a while, enough for us to locate the incident. It seems to be different from the location on the key. After listening, Lin Fan carefully pinched a corner of the card, fearing that he would accidentally tear it. You don't have to be so careful. It's not that easy to break. Wu Yusen quickly comforted her. These cards are special. If you don't use force, it's difficult to tear them open. Even if you tear them by mistake, it's okay as long as they are not completely broken. Even if they are broken, don't be afraid. Just call and report it as soon as possible. But the cost of the new card will be deducted from your salary. This card is equivalent to an emergency call device. As long as the card surface is completely torn and broken, it will take effect immediately. No matter how far away, the station will instantly detect the signal for help. The positioning in the hard card is similar to a tracker. It has a distance limit and can only be located by someone with skills. It is a daily tracking product and is used when you are not in a hurry. I see. Lin Fan roughly understood it and handed over another card full of identity information. What's the secret of this one? This card has a sealed attack. Throw it out in special circumstances and you will get a chance to protect yourself in danger. Wu Yusen took the card, turned it over in his hand and said, different people's cards have different sealed attacks because of their different positions and different levels of danger. It varies from person to person. An attack sealed in a card? Lin Fan couldn't imagine it. Remember the talisman that Kuan Yin Dan cast on you when we went to the weapon refining group? Wu Yusen guided. It's similar to that effect, but the attack here is real. Lin Fan's mind instantly flashed back to the scene back then. The bearded man threw a paper talisman at her, whizzing towards her, and she was shocked at the time. What kind of attack is it? How is it sealed in a card? Lin Fan asked curiously. As for attacks, there are many. Some have a fireball inside, some have a lightning bolt, some have the fist wind of martial artist, and some create illusions. Anyway, basically everyone with attack power in the institute has contributed. There are too many strange and bizarre skills, and Wu Yusen has not seen them all yet. As for how it was sealed into the card, I haven't seen it either. I only know that there are people who are responsible for making cards, and it seems to be a talent. There are all kinds of powerful people in the institute, and you will slowly see them in the future. After Wu Yusen finished speaking, he solemnly warned Lin Fan, but when it comes to skills, it is more or less secretive. If you are not particularly familiar with it, or if someone takes the initiative to ask, it is best not to ask easily. Lin Fan nodded. She understood. It goes without saying that special skills cannot be easily known to others. Talents and the like, if someone wants to talk about it, I'm afraid they can't explain it clearly. Just like her, if someone asks her what the stars are, she can't answer. This is the best way. She doesn't ask others, and others don't ask her. Then is my attack strong? Lin Fan asked curiously. Yours is similar to mine. Wu Yusen knew everything about Lin Fan. But your star is almost invincible. It doesn't really matter whether you have it or not. Unlike us, we are mortals and need this kind of attack to save our lives. Seeing him mentioning star in the car without any hesitation from the guy driving in front, Lin Fan looked at the driver's seat in surprise and asked with his eyes, don't you need to keep it secret? Haha, it's okay. The confidentiality mechanism inside the Special Affairs office is different from other places. Everyone has information exchanged, which is convenient for mutual assistance. Everyone knows the basic situation of Star, so you don't have to worry. Wu Yusen knew that she was influenced by 800 when he saw Lin Fan's eyes. Maybe there are too many strange people in the Special Affairs office. Although Lin Fan's transformation into a mecha is a little special, it is not so special among those strange people. There are also many Special Affairs who have transformation skills, but the form is not complete. Transforming mecha, well, it's still a little different. Many people expressed their curiosity about how flesh and steel are transformed. They were also eager to see the stars and look forward to Lin Fan's early return. Lin Fan breathed a sigh of relief. She didn't have to meet anyone to start thinking about what she could say and what she couldn't say. For her, it was simply too comfortable. If this card can attack, wouldn't it be very useful? You can just throw it during a fight, which is more convenient than a talisman. Not everyone can use the talisman, but this card seems to have no restrictions. As long as you throw it, it will have an attack effect. You're dreaming. Wu Yusen shook his head and smiled. The function of the card is just to store. The attacks in it are specially made by others to save the lives of the employees in the institute. Do you think it can be mass produced? Lin Fan was a little disappointed when she heard this. For example, you want a fireball card. Fireball is a good little skill, and fire type cards can basically be made effortless. But the card making process requires him to send a fireball and the card maker to store a fireball. Not to mention the time and the energy of the psychic. The card maker can tire himself to death. The card maker is an auxiliary skill person. Although he has a special talent, his energy is limited. Every time he makes a card, it will take different amounts of time depending on the level of the sealed object, and he can't make cards continuously. Fireball is still a small skill, used in the cards of ordinary employees. The cards of us who are in dangerous field work are all big skills, which usually drain the energy of the caster at a time, and it takes a long time to recover. They have their own tasks and their own lives. Like I said, who works hard to live not to make life more comfortable? It's impossible to drain yourself, right? Wu Yusen also thought about it back then. Why can't we make more such good cards? Later, he was scolded by his master. So every employee of the Special Affairs Office is equipped with such a card? Lin Fan asked in disbelief. Yes, as long as they are employees of the Special Affairs Office, they will have them. However, the receptionists and cleaning ladies are all at the lowest level of fireball because they don't encounter any risks in their daily lives, so that's enough. John Woo bared his big white teeth again. We privately jokingly call this the 3-piece life-saving set. I fell out of the top 400 on the popularity list 555 last month. I got an extra 1000 bonus for being on the list. I bought New Year's goods. If I hadn't been on the list this month, the subscription would probably only be enough for me to pay the electricity bill. I've become greedy after tasting the sweetness. My dears, if you have tickets, please support the show, or you can give monthly tickets and recommendations. If you don't have tickets, please interact with me. Help me with my food money next month. Love you. Chapter 248 ZHU Kunjin. 3-piece set. Lin Fan looked at the card in Wu Yusen's hand, then looked at the 2 cards in her own hand, raised the empty leather book and asked, what function does this have? There is a one-time defense array hidden in it, which will be passively triggered when encountering pressure and impact, forming a shield. Wu Yusen replied. But ordinary people's books can only defend against daily impacts such as vehicle collisions, ground subsidence, and sudden robbery. Our books are truly shields. Okay. Defense, attack, and warning are all complete. The 3-piece set of life-saving is worthy of the name. No wonder the people in the Special Affairs Office regard the Special Affairs Office as their home. Good benefits, high salaries, many vacations, and flexible working hours. Harmonious relationships among members, and additional life safety guarantees. Lin Fan vaguely remembered that among her benefits, there was also a medical benefit for her parents and family members. This has been carefully considered for you. How could it not bring a sense of belonging? Before entering the door of the Special Affairs Office, Lin Fan had already figured it out in her heart. She silently inserted the card into the leather book, and decided that she would never leave the book in the future. The stars are indestructible, but Lin Fan is not. Wu Yusen takes her work permit so seriously, she dare not neglect it. But your photo is too different from now. Give it to me. I'll take it to the Human Resources Department to change it for you. Wu Yusen said as he took the black book in Lin Fan's hand and put it in his own hand. Let's go to the Human Resources Department first and take a latest ID photo for you. The photo on the work permit is not bad, but Lin Fan has evolved in recent months, and it should be affected by self-strengthening. Not only is he younger, but he has also become more beautiful. That kind of beauty is that at first glance, he is still Lin Fan, but all aspects have been fine-tuned and there is no fault to find. In the past, he was good looking from a certain angle, but now he is good looking from any angle. From a medium-sized beauty, she has become a beauty at first glance. Of course, Lin Fan's beauty is round and a little cold, mature and gentle, and a little healing when she smiles. Unlike Jiang Yu, she is not very aggressive. She has a slim figure, her skin is like a newborn, and even her hair is very thick. In addition, she was in a good mental state, and her spirits were good. Now Lin Fan looked like a young and energetic college student. When Wu Yusen helped her get the ID card, he specially picked a beautiful photo she took when she was traveling after leaving Gao as her work ID photo. Now, when compared with a real person, it is really too different. If you encounter a situation where you need to show your ID, it will cause trouble. If you change the photo, do you have to find a new card maker? Lin Fan suddenly asked. Yes, submit your information first, and then wait for the card maker to be free. But this time it's just to modify the photo. It should be faster. Wu Yusen put Lin Fan's work ID card in his pocket. It takes a lot of time to make each new ID card because it has to add special things to it. So when you left last time, the work ID card was not ready for you in time. As he spoke, the car had already parked. Wu Yusen said hello to the driver and got out of the car. Lin Fan also nodded to him, and the young man smiled shyly. Entering the elevator from the underground parking lot, Wu Yusen led people directly to the human resources department. Lin Fan came here for the second time and felt a little familiar. She watched Wu Yusen hand over her work card, and after giving her some instructions, he told her to leave. Let's go. They said that the card making is not busy these 2 days, and it should be corrected this week. Let's go see the director. Lin Fan followed him out, vaguely feeling the eyes of scrutiny from behind, and the voices of whispering. Is it that Lin Fan? It's her, the head of the mobile department. There is only her. She looked back. The staff member didn't expect to be caught by the real person for whispering behind someone's back. After a few seconds, he grinned awkwardly. Lin Fan didn't care much, smiled at them friendly, turned around and followed Wu Yusen, who was waiting in front, and left. ZHU Kunjin's office is completely different from CUI Yan. CUI Yan's office is large, bright, and high-tech, but it makes Lin Fan feel empty and deserted. ZHU Kunjin's office is not particularly large, with dark wooden floors, and the whole style looks more retro, or old. On the heavy desk, that looked to be made of mahogany, there was only a monitor, keyboard, desk lamp and a pen holder. There were a few pens randomly inserted in it, as well as a small national flag. If there was anything special, it was the glass ashtray that was more eye-catching. When Lin Fan came in, ZHU Kunjin was hurriedly putting the empty ashtray back on the table. Judging from the remaining stains inside and the smoke and dust raised by the table, the director had just poured out the ash. Lin Fan is here? ZHU Kunjin dusted off the dust on his body, and when he stood up, he sniffed it inconspicuously. The air was filled with his familiar smell. He walked to the door into steps and turned on the switch of the exhaust fan. A slight buzzing sound was heard, and ZHU Kunjin felt a little more comfortable and smiled at Lin Fan with his teeth showing. Come on. Sit down quickly. Did you choke? Blame me, I forgot. As he spoke, he pulled the chair in front of the table away for Lin Fan and looked at her expectantly. Thank you, director. Lin Fan saw ZHU Kunjin's long-lost smile, and somehow her heart ached, and tears suddenly welled up. If ZHU Kunjin hadn't insisted, Lin Fan would have died. She didn't know what would happen to 800, but Song Ren and the 6-member team of the second generation A who were left on the ground would definitely not have a good ending. ZHU Kunjin saved more than just her. Thank you. Lin Fan thanked him again as she sat down. Her mood had been adjusted, and her tears were suppressed. ZHU Kunjin personally poured water for Lin Fan, and when he saw Wu Yusen still standing aside, he said unhappily, "Why? You want me to help you pour water? How can that be possible?" Wu Yusen smiled, and he and ZHU Kunjin were like father and father. He put Lin Fan's luggage back by the door, took the kettle from ZHU Kunjin's hand, walked to the boss chair, and added water for him. Come on, sit down quickly, I dare not trouble you. You have a good eye. ZHU Kunjin quickly looked at Wu Yusen and found no scars, so he smiled even more. Yes, isn't it because you educated me well? Wu Yusen poured himself a glass of water and sat down next to Lin Fan. Please give me some face in front of Lin Fan. Why should I give you face? Lin Fan is not an outsider. It's only a matter of time before he recognizes you. ZHU Kunjin said this, but he did not continue to tease Wu Yusen. Instead, he turned to Lin Fan. Lin Fan, you must have had a hard time along the way, right? Lin Fan felt that ZHU Kunjin's smile was a bit like the bodhisattva statue in the temple, kind, and made people want to talk. For a few moments, Lin Fan seemed to see Lin's father in his face again. How could two people with completely different looks be associated with each other? It's not hard. Lin Fan answered honestly. Well, I asked you to go on a mission before you came back, and I asked you, a girl, to go down to such a dark cave. Are you scared? Lin Fan's nose was sour, and he immediately lowered his head and eyes. Ever since Xingqian became stronger and stronger, almost everyone has been saying, Lin Fan, you are so awesome. For the first time, someone actually asked her if she was afraid. Yes, Lin Fan had always felt afraid, but she didn't dare to say it. Xingqian must not be afraid. When Lin Fan carries Xingqian on her back, she is destined to not only represent herself. Yesterday's daily readings fell below 90, a new low. Did the comments annoy people? Or maybe I didn't write it well. Never mind. Just relax and do whatever you want. I laughed when there were 4 daily subscriptions back then, but now there are obviously more, and you still complain? Ha ha ha. Keep asking for votes and interactions. Moore. Chapter 249. The big boss wants to meet. Lin Fan lowered her head for only a moment. Before Wu Yusen could speak, she had already raised her head. The smile on her face was sincere, as if she had let go of some burden. It's okay, she said to Zhu Kunjun with a smile. I'm not afraid of places with light, but I feel scared in a dark place. It's too quiet. I can only hear the sound and echo of my own footsteps. You know, my eyes emit green light, which actually looks scary. Ha 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 ha. Zhu Kunjun laughed heartily. You can be considered to have scared yourself. Yeah. Lin Fan also grinned, but later, after a long time, I talked to Wu Yusen and others and interrupted them, so it was okay. Wu Yusen looked at Lin Fan seriously, and then a smile appeared on his face. He interrupted, this is a special situation. Next time, I will never let Lin Fan go on a mission alone. Well, Lin Fan, you heard it. He promised to accompany you on missions in the future. If you have any problems in the future, just find him. Zhu Kunjun said casually. Before Lin Fan could react, Wu Yusen asked, Director, have you decided that I will take her? Newcomers need seniors to take them on tasks. After they have been in charge for a while and have become proficient, they will be allowed to carry out tasks independently. This is an unspoken convention of the Special Affairs Office. As for the seniors who will take on tasks, they are usually specially selected by Zhu Kunjun, based on their personal qualities. Before Wu Yusen left, the person who would take Lin Fan had not been determined yet. He was planning to apply to Zhu Kunjun later, but the good news came so suddenly. Well, if you think you are not competent, I can change someone else. Zhu Kunjun teased maliciously. How could he not know Wu Yusen's feelings for Lin Fan? It was fine that he could not go with him to 800 before. After all, he had to investigate other situations of Lin Fan at that time. If he was not allowed to take Lin Fan this time, do you believe that Wu Yusen would directly turn the table over to him? No, I can do it. Wu Yusen was happy. Why did he find Lin Fan first? Trick her with his persuasion? No, bring her back, witness her first transformation, know her past best, have the deepest ties to her, but in the end he sent her to 800 for a year and a half, watching others hanging around her. In the past year and a half, she could count the number of days she had seen Lin Fan on one hand. Even if you add the time when she first met her and brought her back to the Special Affairs Office, it was only half a month. Obviously he was a real father. No, what he meant was that he treated Lin Fan like his own daughter. Not really. Forget it. Anyway, if he couldn't take Lin Fan with him this time, he would overturn Zhu Kunjun's desk. Wu Yusen had already prepared for this and was determined not to give up until he achieved his goal, but he was overjoyed. Ha ha ha. His smile at this time was absolutely from the heart. Okay. Then this matter is settled. Before Lin Fan can go on a mission independently, you will be responsible for taking care of her. If she has any problems, I'm responsible. Wu Yusen patted his chest. Lin Fan, did you hear that? Now that you have someone ready to take the blame, you don't have to be afraid of anything you want to do. Zhu Kunjun chuckled and sold out Wu Yusen. Lin Fan felt that this way of speaking was casual and comfortable, and he also smiled and agreed. Then I feel relieved. Then I beg you to show mercy. Wu Yusen pretended to be miserable, causing the two to laugh, and finally even he couldn't help laughing. Okay, let's talk about the next thing. Zhu Kunjun saw that it was almost time, so he drank a sip of water and changed the subject in time. Because Xingqian has upgraded its weapons, well, we haven't seen it with our own eyes, but according to the images sent by 800, it is definitely a cold weapon. There are also several forms of transformation. In order to enable you to maximize the performance of the weapon, I specially found someone who is good at this to teach you. Lin Fan nodded. Director CUI told me. ZHU Kunjin snorted unhappily. Then he definitely didn't tell you that the big leader will meet you after the new year? The big leader is going to meet Lin Fan. Wu Yusen was surprised, and after thinking about it, it seemed that it was not impossible to understand. Well, the news just came out a while ago. After the new year every year, doesn't the big leader have to commend people who have made contributions in the previous year at the National Taiwan? ZHU Kunjin reached out to touch the cigarette and suddenly remembered that Lin Fan was there, so he turned to touch the teacup, picked it up, and took a deep sip. Every year? Lin Fan thought about it, and there seemed to be no relevant reports in the news. It is every year. ZHU Kunjin put down the teacup, motioned to Wu Yusen to add water for him, and then continued to talk to Lin Fan. There is a commendation meeting every year, but it is not always public. It can be regarded as a private commendation, but except for ordinary people, everyone who should know will know. Lin Fan saved the big leader last year, so it is normal for him to be commended. Wu Yusen sat back in his seat. They are not greedy for credit, but they will not push away their credit. Lin Fan's contribution is real. If she hadn't stopped the green turtle in time, the subsequent events would have been a mess. Not only Lin Fan, but also the Mecha team that participated in the rescue at the time will participate. ZHU Kunjin held the handle of the cup. This is also an important reason why I must let you come back before the new year. Cui Yan wanted Lin Fan to be commended with their 800 people, so that outsiders would naturally think that Lin Fan is a member of 800. Wolf Cub. Wishful thinking. Lin Fan has been a member of their Special Affairs Office from beginning to end. In addition, Lin Fan's adaptation to the use of cold weapons has been put on the agenda. The research progress of 800 has almost reached its limit. If Lin Fan continues to stay, it will be a pure waste of time. It has no meaning for scientific research or the stars themselves. ZHU Kunjin applied many times, but Cui Yan couldn't delay any longer, so he released her a week before the Chinese New Year. It was late, but it came. ZHU Kunjin was relieved. If Lin Fan's transfer order had always been at 800, he would have no choice, no matter how anxious he was. Fortunately, she is back. I guess the big boss also wants to take this opportunity to take a good look at Xingqian. ZHU Kunjin speculated. The situation was so chaotic last time that the 623 Mecha formation had an accident just after it marched to the reviewing stand. Although the big boss had a close contact with Xingqian, he was so flustered that he didn't have time to take a closer look and was dragged away by the bodyguard. Later, Lin Fan had an accident. The leader was not in the mood to continue to watch Pangu. Everyone was afraid of another surprise attack, so they found a safe time to pull her away. Later, all of Lin Fan's information was presented to the big boss. Knowing that she was rescued and further upgraded, the big boss was both relieved and emotional. In addition, Xingqian suddenly appeared in front of him to block the attack. The visual impact of the white back and the turning back was too strong. As a result, the big boss always thought of it inadvertently. So on the list of next year's commendation meeting, the big boss added Lin Fan and others to the list. He made it clear that he wanted to meet with them. Who wouldn't want such an honor? In the end, ZHU Kunjin won. Look, Cui Yan hid one thing. You didn't expect it, did you? It turns out that tomorrow is New Year's Eve. I haven't cleaned up yet, and I took the time to go to the hospital this morning. Forget it, let's just make do this year. I want tickets and interactions. Muah. Chapter 250 account. When are you going after the new year? Wu Yusen asked. He would not accept the commendation, but he could go with Lin Fan. What? Let Lin Fan go alone? Don't even think about it. What's the matter with the Special Affairs Office? After the Lantern Festival, before February, the specific time is still waiting for notification. But this matter is set in stone anyway. You have an idea in advance. ZHU Kunjin was happy. Not many people in the Special Affairs Office get this opportunity to accept the commendation from the big boss. Of course, many big guys don't care about these worldly things. But ZHU Kunjin cares. The Special Affairs Office cares. If Lin Fan goes to the National Taiwan, the funds allocated to the Special Affairs Office will increase again next year. It can't be better. I remember. Wu Yusen has already started to play the role of a senior. Lin Fan also nodded to show that he understood. The other thing is the matter of the cold weapon teacher. ZHU Kunjin picked up the teacup and drank 2 sips of water. Originally, we were going to arrange a meeting when you came back, but you encountered a mission at the last minute. When you came back today, the teacher also took the mission and ran away. We can only wait until he completes the mission. Then it will be after the Chinese New Year, right? Wu Yusen asked, turning to explain to Lin Fan. Our Special Affairs Office has 10 days off for the Chinese New Year, except for those who have missions and cannot be delayed. Everyone will enjoy the holiday. Yes, it will be after the Chinese New Year. When you go back to work on the 8th day of the first lunar month, you can meet. ZHU Kunjin nodded. Who is it? Do I know him? Wu Yusen asked again, going through the people who are familiar with cold weapons in his mind. You don't know him, but you should have heard of him. The one called Big Brother in the office. ZHU Kunjin's smile suddenly became very awkward, and the corners of his mouth seemed to be twitching all the time. Ah. Wu Yusen sighed and looked at Lin Fan with great sympathy. Lin Fan suddenly had a bad premonition. Her learning journey doesn't seem to be very wonderful. Anything else? ZHU Kunjin thought for a moment and said casually, forget it. Anyway, I've said all the important things. I'll let you know if there's anything else. Although ZHU Kunjin also wanted to see Xingchen in person, he decided to wait until Lin Fan had a good rest. Okay, then I'll take Lin Fan away first. Wu Yusen stood up. Oh, by the way, ZHU Kunjin suddenly remembered. Take Lin Fan's office to have a look. If there's anything missing or needs to be adjusted, just contact the logistics department. He smiled at Lin Fan and said, when the office was renovated, because it was difficult to contact you, we asked Jin Sichin. We decorated it according to his style that you would like. If you don't like it, tell Wu Yusen and have him strip it down and reinstall it. Don't have any concerns, understand? Got it. Lin Fan finally understood why the people in the Special Affairs Office always exuded a kind of bold temperament. Just look at Director ZHU, and you will know. They are of the same lineage. Well, remember, we are not short of money. The most important thing is to be happy. ZHU Kunjin waved his hand, and when he said this, a halo could be added behind his head. Go, have a good rest. The two came out of ZHU Kunjin's office. Wu Yusen saw Lin Fan with a complicated face and asked her what was wrong. Nothing, I just feel that it's good to have money. Lin Fan stammered for a long time and uttered this sentence. That's right. When you signed the contract, wasn't it because of the money? Wu Yusen knew Lin Fan too well, and he was not afraid that she would be angry. Don't mention it again. Lin Fan covered his head. Why not? There's nothing wrong with loving money, and you didn't do it for money at the beginning. Wu Yusen smiled triumphantly. If it weren't for this, you wouldn't take the bait. Yes, you are awesome. Lin Fan perfunctorily gave him a thumbs up. I still remember, when you signed the employee contract, you didn't even look at it, and you were eager to ask for funeral subsidies. At that time, your face was full of dejection. Wu Yusen thought of Lin Fan's appearance at the time, and felt very emotional. She almost had trading her life for money written on her face. Fortunately, everything is fine now. Thanks to Jin Sichin. Speaking of funeral allowance, Lin Fan was suddenly reminded by him. My salary has increased now. Has the funeral allowance also increased? Wu Yusen suddenly wanted to slap himself. What is the funeral allowance for? This obsession seems to have not passed. Ah. Has it increased? Lin Fan asked when she saw Wu Yusen's dull face. Why are you still thinking about this? Wu Yusen rolled his eyes and sighed again. What's wrong? I'm just asking. Lin Fan didn't understand. She was just curious. Don't you know? Sister, can't you let go of the funeral allowance? Wu Yusen decided not to mention these 4 words in the future. This is simply Lin Fan's curse. What's wrong? Didn't you say so? I'm just asking. Okay, I said, I'll ask for you later, okay? If you don't know, just tell me, I won't blame you. The two chatted all the way until they saw Jin Sichin outside Lin Fan's office. He was still wearing a fancy shirt and an Indian-style fringed leather jacket. He was wearing a pair of dark wash jeans and riveted riding boots. If he put on a hat, he could be a cowboy. He leaned against the door of the office his arms folded across his chest, complaining a little unhappy. "What are you talking about? I heard you two chattering from a distance. It's so slow. Don't you have the key? Why don't you go in and wait?" Wu Yusen looked at Jin Sichin with a strange face and opened the door. "Isn't this a sense of ritual? I can't explain it to you." Jin Sichin didn't want to talk to a straight man. "Lin Fan, how was your journey?" "Very good. How about you? Did you have a smooth return?" Lin Fan and Jin Sichin exchanged pleasantries and walked into his office. The color of the office was still beige, a little pink. The space is larger than that of John Woo and ZHU Kunjin, and about the same size as Jin Sichin's. On the left side of the door is a small exercise area, which is padded and has some fitness equipment. On the right side is a modular sofa. It is soft and looks very comfortable. At the end of the exercise area, there is a green plant wall with a grill. It can block privacy without hindering light transmission. Next to the decorative wall, there is a set of office desks and chairs by the window. Electronic equipment is complete. In front of the sofa, there is a TV, a game console, and a bookshelf that takes up an entire wall, which is filled with various magazines. There is also a set of round dining tables in front of the bookshelf, which is also made of solid wood and looks clean and refreshing. There is also a water table and a refrigerator in the corner against the wall. "How is it? Are you satisfied?" Jin Sichin asked expectantly with a smile. "It's good. I feel very comfortable." Lin Fan nodded. "Everything that is in the activity room of 623 is here, but the decoration style is completely different. I don't know if Jin Sichin deliberately made a different effect, or if he didn't want her to associate it with the activity room of 623. You haven't finished watching yet." Jin Sichin happily took Lin Fan to the back of the green plant grill, where there was a door. "Look, this is your personal lounge. The bed, toilet, and shower are all ready." Jin Sichin turned the door open and looked at Lin Fan. "If you are very tired and don't want to go home in the future, you can rest here." Lin Fan went in and took a look. It was more complete than the 800 villa cabin and the space was more spacious. Except there was no balcony and kitchen area. "It's very good, thank you." Lin Fan had never lived in such a good environment. "Hey, this is just a lounge, not for you to live here for a long time." Wu Yusen turned on the water heater and walked up from the back. "Where do you want to live? Choose a house you like in the special affairs office as a dormitory, or live outside." Jin Sichin and Wu Yusen, who do you like? No one likes Jin Sichin. Obviously he has more roles than Wu Yusen. Sweep the floor, mop the floor, wash the sheets today, and there is no time to clean up the odds and ends on the table. Forget it. You can't say I'm sloppy. I don't even have time to rest after writing. If I go to clean up, I'll have to stop updating. Well, it's also my fault. I didn't work hard to save the manuscripts. When I finish saving the manuscripts, I'll have time to clean up slowly after the new year. Have you guys cleaned up your house? If you have any delicious food, please share it with me. I want votes and interaction. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.